sun beat down. I had the radio on. I was driving. Trees flew by. Me and Del were singing. Little runaway. I was flying. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Working on a mystery. Going where it leads. Running down a dream. Yeah, running down a dream that never would come to me. Running down a dream. Oh, yeah, running down a dream.
The following NBC Sports program is brought to you in living color.
It's Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Darlington, the Bojangles Southern 500. Unfortunately, we've had a couple lightning strikes in the area, so everything's put on hold for the moment. We have to let this weather move out. That's why it looks dry on the screen. There's no rain, but some lightning, so we have to be on the safe side of this. And Junior, you and I talk a lot about this race, but we're missing the third of the three amigos up here. Our good buddy Jeff Burton's actually going to drive one of the pace cars. He'll be joining us later.
Yeah, Jeff's one of the legends that's going to be down in the pace cars that'll be leading this field to the green flag during the pace laps. And as soon as he comes up here, he'll be part of the booth as usual. Our little race team booth, man.
Get the race team booth back together. And look, we've talked about the type of racing we expect you to see this evening in the Southern 500, and we know that because we saw that type of racing yesterday in the Xfinity race. Ross Chastain got a great opportunity to drive for Chip Ganassi Racing in this 42. The first time in a fully funded car like this, he goes out, he sits on the pole. A big move for a young man. I know you're a big fan, Dale. This was great for this young guy.
Absolutely. Not only did that, but he went out and showed it in the race that it wasn't no fluke. He has the speed, winning stage 1 and stage 2. Everybody's thinking about, man, this guy might have a chance to win the race up until this point right here. Battling for the lead with Kevin Harvick.
We knew the challenge was going to come, and it came by Kevin Harvick when they went down underneath a lap car. Listen, it's the lady in black. There's not room for two cars to exit turn 2 side by side. They make contact. They wreck Kevin Harvick. Very upset with Ross Chastain. I think you see Ross Chastain was upset with Kevin Harvick. Felt like he squeezed him up. A lot of popularity behind this young man getting this opportunity. And the owner, Chip Ganassi, he doubled down and he said, you know what? I think this guy's going to get a lot of opportunity. I like what I saw. Kevin Harvick, he was mad. He parked in Chastain's pit stall. Man, we had sparks, and that was just a 200 miler. Tonight we got 500 miles.
You're right. Kevin Harvick said in a post-race interview that driving, racing like that, the inexperience and the mistakes could cost Chastain future opportunities. But then Chip Ganassi comes on social media after that and reiterates his support. Says this is going to mean more opportunities. This guy was running well, doing great, doing everything we could ask in that race up to that point. He's got 2 more opportunities we know of. And this also is something interesting. Think about this. Ross Chastain is more than likely going to make the playoffs in the Xfinity Series. What does that mean for his opportunities in Chip Ganassi going forward in the playoffs? Is that a chance for him to get in that car to try to contend to actually win that championship?
Well, what made his performance extra special wasn't just what he did, but where he did it. He did it here at Darlington, and this track has history. It has its own aura. It's the lady in black, the track too tough to tame. Randy LaJoie has, I think, the best quote of Darlington I've ever heard. He was asked, listen, what makes Darlington so difficult? What's Randy LaJoie say? Well, the toughest part of the track, it's when you exit pit road and you go onto the track. And I laughed when I read that because he's right. They're very different ends of the racetrack. Yeah. They drive very different. As a crew chief, they're both very difficult to set up for, and as a driver, Dale, they look difficult to drive.
Well, the track is the slickest racetrack on the circuit. I mean, the apron feels like and sounds like the beach. Like when you're driving out on the racetrack up on the apron, there's sand and all kinds of debris flying into the wheel wells of the car, and it's so slick you can't even put the pedal down and run wide open until you get up on the straightaway. And so it's just a really challenging track. There's a lot of different ways to attack the corners here, though. This is not a one-groove racetrack, even though it's very narrow. Guys can get into the corner on the high side entering both corners. They can run the bottom. There's really a lot of different ways to go through the corner, and it's going to be fun to see people trying those different lines because you're never comfortable, so you're always trying to move around and find comfort and find speed. So you're going to see these guys sort of altering their lines as they go through the night.
Well, the pageantry is just not with the race cars. How about on the pace laps? We mentioned our pal Jeff Burton will be down there. There are 7 decades of NASCAR, 7 different Camaros leading the field, and they are being driven by the who's who, right? You have Rick Hendrick, Richard Childress, 2 owners, Jeff Burton, Ray Evernham, Ricky Craven, Hornaday, Ward Burton. I mean, that's like the all-star list of Darlington. They're going to be pacing the field.
Yeah, Ward Burton, a 2-time winner here, and his brother Jeff. I mean, that's got to feel great for those 2 guys to be there. Jeff also a 2-time winner here, and we miss him right now, and he'll be up here soon enough. Rick Hendrick, he's driving in a Camaro that's actually going to be auctioned at Barrett Jackson in January for the Nationwide Children's Hospital, so that's going to be pretty exciting. I'm really looking forward to seeing what that car can bring. Richard Childress, 6-time Cup Series championship owner, 8 Darlington wins as an owner. Ray Evernham, 3-time championship crew chief with Jeff Gordon. Just the list goes on. Ricky Craven, obviously a guy who has the win and one of the most exciting finishes we've ever seen at this racetrack.
Yeah, the closest finish in Cup Series history. He still owns it.
And Ron Hornaday, obviously, 4-time Truck Series champion, Hall of Famer.
So we talked about who the drivers were to watch, and you mentioned some of the veterans. A name that's kind of popped up over the course of the weekend, Ryan Newman. This is a track he runs very, very well at, and just moments ago, Kelly caught up with him.
Another driver that seemingly finds himself in a bit of a must-win situation to get into the playoffs now with 2 races left is Ryan Newman. But good news for you, Ryan. Of course, you've won at Indy, which we'll go to next week. And here at Darlington, you have your best average finish. Haven't quite won, but you've had a lot of good runs here. Why have you been so good here?
It's my favorite racetrack, so that kind of helps. But, you know, I've had good race cars and typically keep it out of the fence, so hopefully we can do that tonight. Our Caterpillar Chevrolet has been good all weekend. The guys have done a good job. We haven't really touched it much, so if we can just keep it going and keep it out of the fence, we'll have a shot tonight.
Well, let's talk about that good-looking race car real fast. A throwback to Neil Bonnet and the Goodwrench car. What did it mean to you to see that scheme, and what's it like running it?
I mean, there's a lot of guys that are, no offense, still alive and around to be able to represent those cars, and I know Neil and Dale Sr. were great friends and hunting buddies and all that stuff. So I found the irony of Neil driving the 31 car, being at a Goodwrench colors as well, and thought it was really cool. So it's kind of a way to give tribute to Neil and some of the, I guess it was the first car of the 31 with Richard Childress Racing. So, you know, big fan of the outdoors and made a lot of sense for me.
Well, you heard Newman say it was his favorite track. You have to wonder if it's not a frame of mind because it's this best track, best average finish at all tracks. Darlington, Rockingham, 2 very difficult racetracks at the top of the list. I have to think, we talk about the difficulty of this track, just a frame of mind. Coming in here, telling yourself you love the track has to help his finish. And then he mentioned this one I know you know a lot about, that Neil Bonnet throwback he's driving. This is a good-looking race car.
Yeah, this was pretty cool. We were excited when Neil was going to get in this car at Talladega. Thought he'd have a great opportunity to win. He ended up getting upside down the front straightaway. Didn't get the result he wanted. Those sponsors on that car mean a lot to me personally because Mom and Pops was on the hood of my late model, and Prime Sirloin on that quarter panel there was also a sponsor of my late model days. So this is really cool. Love that teams put so much effort into their throwbacks. They put a lot of effort into it. The throwback, you know, the throwback weekend's big for the Speedway. The Speedway, this is their only event of the year, so they center around that throwback campaign, and it's great for the sport. Ryan Newman, man, I mean, you think about what tracks would suit Ryan Newman. Darlington is at the top of the list, and it's right there in the stats, man. He loves this place. We've been looking at his lap times. He was a guy, I have him as a wild card to run well tonight with Bowman and Kenseth as well. So he, you know, it says right there with the stats, he loves this track and should have a good finish.
Well, I mentioned Jeff Burton's downstairs driving that Camaro for the pace laps. He'll be joining myself and Dale Jr. up above for the race team broadcast. Well, our old buddy Rick Allen, he's going to hang out on the Peacock pit box with Dale Jarrett and Kyle Petty throughout the race, give us their information at the end of the first and second segment, kind of let us know what they think. And then another great thing, Dale, and you're going to be a part of that father-son duo, Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett, yourself. That is going to be great to listen to you 3 cover the race. I get to sit back, feet up. I'm just going to be a fan like the fans at home and listen.
Yeah, I got to be in the booth a little bit with DJ doing some practices over the last couple of weeks, but I don't think I've worked a booth with Kyle yet. I've listened to those guys for years, right? So that's going to be fun to spend some time with him in the booth, especially this historic night, this racetrack with all this history and these cars. We're having a lot of fun. Race is going to be great. We know that. This place is always fun to watch these guys trying to go with the challenge of the racetrack and figure this place out.
It's Southern 500, the 69th running. We got to get the lightning out of the area so we can get these cars fired up. It's a packed house. Look at the stands. These fans are excited. They're ready to see some action here at Darlington.
Perhaps the most special moment in the history of stock car racing.
$1 million. Come on, buddy. What you expect me to do, man?
The only way to win is to attack it, but when you attack it, there's a price to be paid.
It's the hardest race I ever ran. About ready to come into tears.
Just as happy winning this than we was the first one.
Yeah, baby! How about that?
I can watch the highlights of this race forever. There are so many great highlights. I hope we make some more tonight. I expect to make some more. It's going to be some great racing. And for some more storylines before we head into the race, let's go down to pit road and Dave Burns.
Well, Steve, let's show you some more of these great paint schemes we've been talking about all weekend and make sure the fans have a good idea of what they're going to be seeing. When you think of Kyle Busch's 18 car tonight, make sure you remember Ernie Irvan in the 36 Skittles Pontiac. He ran 13 years at NASCAR's top level, won 15 times, and this car ran in 1998. Now, Ernie's been a part of this throwback theme ever since the start. When they unveiled the car, he was there. He was here for introductions, and he's hanging around tonight. Ernie very proud to see Kyle Busch running the Skittles colors tonight. Parker?
Dave, my favorite paint scheme is what Ryan Blaney has, because it's an ode to the Buckeye Bullet, also known as his dad, Dave Blaney. There's that 77 Jasper engines Ford you saw back in 02 and 03. And the coolest thing about him running this scheme here at Darlington is that his dad got one of his best finishes here at Darlington in that 03 race, third. I thought that was pretty cool. Maybe he can back that up here tonight. He'll be starting 21st, so he's got a lot of work to do, Kelly.
Well, certainly one of the most recognizable and most popular rides out here this weekend is driven by William Byron in the 24. Of course, this is the paint scheme made famous by Hall of Famer Jeff Gordon, the Rainbow Warrior paint scheme that helped Jeff earn 3 of his Cup titles, 52 of his wins. William Byron, by the way, on the outside of the playoffs will need to channel his inner Jeff Gordon here tonight. Gordon, a 7-time winner here at Darlington. William Byron needs that win tonight to get into the playoffs. Marty?
Kelly, Denny Hamlin is throwing back to himself for a 1997 paint scheme that was his mini stock team when he won championships back at Langley Speedway and also Southside Speedway just outside of Richmond. And the sponsor on the side, Chesterfield Trailer and Hitch, just like it was when his dad Dennis owned that business. And Denny told me all of that was hand painted on the mini stock, and even the Denny Hamlin on top of the car, the exact signature he had back then in 1997 when he won those 2 championships. And speaking of 2 championships, he's a 2-time Southern 500 champion. He would love to become a 3-time champion tonight, Steve.
I love this, man. Denny making it okay to throw it back to yourself.
I like that.
I mean, look at that car, man. Got that number slid back, got that sponsor on the door. That's old school for sure. You know that he's excited to be able to run this car, a car that means so much to him and his family.
And even Goodyear's on board. I mean, look at that. They got the cubic inches on the hood. How about this? The white Goodyear lettering, like we are back in the 70s, the 60s, 70s, and 80s. That's what the Goodyears look like. Well, guys, I think we're here. The lightning is cleared. It's time to get the engines fired and get the race underway.
Race fans, it's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome your Grand Marshals, 2019 NASCAR Hall of Fame inductee, Jack Roush, accompanied by Bojangles Senior VP of Marketing, Randy Poindexter. Gentlemen, start your engines.
Fire in the hole there, bud. Fire in the hole. Fired up. Fired up. Fired up here. Fired up. Fired up here.
Finally, man, we got these things fired up. Guys are going to have a lot of fun tonight. We're going to get to see it. The green flag's coming up next.
Allison is looking at the checkered flag.
Well, the cars are rolling. Let's take a look at the starting grid brought to you by KFC. It's going to run along the top of your screen. Pick your favorite driver out and see where he's starting. And Junior, we mentioned it's not just about the race cars, the pageantry of the Southern 500. It's the entire weekend. There was a parade. There was an event with a bunch of Hall of Famers. Even this right here, the field being led by 7 generations of the Camaro.
That's right, man. We got 7 generations of the Camaro, and plus you got 7 legends from the series. There's our buddy Jeff Burton, man. He's making a pass. Who's he passing right there?
Oh, look at RC.
Yeah. Having a lot of fun out there, enjoying themselves. So much fun for these guys to be able to come out here. You see so many legends come out for this race that don't normally go to the races. This is an event that they come to. See people in the garage you've never seen before.
Well, you mentioned, I mean, a who's who list of people that are driving these cars. Rick Hendrick, Richard Childress, 2 owners, Hall of Fame owners. Jeff Burton, dominant in his racing career, will join us here in a little bit. Ray Evernham, my mentor, also a Hall of Famer. We have Ricky Craven, Ron Hornaday, Ward Burton, Jeff's brother. Man, we chased Ward Burton around here at time or two. He knows how to run around the Southern 500. So those guys are pacing the field. But let's go back into the field, talk to one of the drivers that's taking part today. Let's see if we can dial up Joey Logano.
Hey, Joe Logano, it's Dale Jr. up in the booth. You got me, buddy?
Got you loud and clear. What's going on?
I want to know what's going on with you, man. You haven't drove this car or practiced in race trim since Friday. Just how good is that Pennzoil Ford?
I hope it's pretty good. We made quite a few changes. I thought our car was good on the short run, needed a little bit on the long run. So I think Todd hooked me up a little bit. Got this Pennzoil Ford fast as we need to be, hopefully, and we'll make the adjustments as we need to as the sun goes down and the track transitions so we get this cool-looking Steve Park ride up front.
It's an incredibly long race on a very, very hard racetrack. How do you make sure you not only take care of the car, but you take care of yourself and get to the end with everything you need?
Taking care of the car is a tough part for sure, and then obviously we hydrated and got ready as much as possible throughout the week and throughout the weekend, and I got some water in here, and hopefully that's enough.
All right, man, good luck. It's going to be fun watching you guys. We'll talk to you later.
All right, have fun up there.
So awesome that these guys will take a moment and talk to us before the green flag falls. But we're also going to have the opportunity to ride along board with some drivers. We have the STP onboard camera for Darrell Wallace Jr. And how about this, Junior? The helmet cam. This shot is going to take your breath away around this track.
We also got Ricky Stenhouse with the John Deere cam, man. That roof cam right there. The side panner on the right side of his car. I don't gets in the fence or somebody else for that matter.
I was going to say, I'm confident he'll probably do it. How about Kevin Harvick with the Busch Beer onboard cam? Starting a little farther back than we normally see. Harvick back in the 22nd position. This is over the shoulder, and this camera turns all the way around. You're going to have great shots out of this.
And then finally, Daniel Suarez with the Coca-Cola cam. Also not such a great starting position, but he's got some good speed. He's got the side panner on the right side as well, so a lot of good action from that angle tonight.
Well, we heard we're going to be covering the race from multiple different locations. We're up here in the booth, but down on the Peacock pit box, we have Rick Allen, Dale Jarrett, and Kyle Petty.
Yeah, Steve, obviously an honor for me to sit next to a Jarrett and a Petty and watch a race and enjoy a race from down here. And on this throwback weekend, I think that's one of the great things is we're celebrating the greatness that you guys, your families, have brought to this sport. As you hear the roar of the engines behind us, they say that it's almost 100 decibels down here on pit road. But it's so much fun, I think, to see everyone embrace this throwback weekend, and especially the crews. I mean, there's some pretty impressive crew outfits down here.
Yeah, I think there is. I mean, when we go out there, the Wood brothers embraced this right off the bat. Leonard and Glenn, the first year or so, I think they wore uniforms they really wore in 72 or in the 60s back there. But, you know, and listening to Junior and listening to Steve Letarte and those guys talk, you have an opportunity to see people you don't see all year long. You have an opportunity to honor the Hall of Famers and the pioneers that made this sport.
Yeah, and I think that's what makes it all so special at the most difficult racetrack that you could race on for 500 miles. I don't care if it's night, whatever time it is, it's going to be a difficult challenge for these guys. And Rick, you have to admit, when you thought about calling a race with a Petty and a Jarrett, it might have been Ned and the King.
Yeah, that's exactly right. It was the other two.
Yeah.
That's possible.
That's all right.
That I was thinking about that. One of the things Leonard Wood said last night was that this is the exact day 50 years ago when Cale Yarborough won the Southern 500.
That's bad. So that was a bad combination right there, Cale Yarborough and the Wood brothers.
Let's break the race down. Let's go back to you, Steve.
When we talk about it, it's the Southern 500 at a very difficult racetrack. We're going to take a look at how the race itself gets broken down. Well, first, 1.366 mile oval, 367 laps, a little over 500 miles. You see how oddly shaped Darlington Raceway is. It's broken down into stages, stage 1 and stage 2, each 100 laps in length. The third and final stage, a little bit longer, Junior. We got around 167 laps. The fuel window, just over 70 laps. And then we're going to say this all night long, the Darlington Stripe. If you get a little too high, and I think everybody will, you make contact with the wall. Look at that. I think that's you at the top left.
Mine up there, buddy. I got a few here.
I like that's a good look. Wipe the right side number off. I was always told, so I was so fortunate to work with Jeff Gordon and Ray Everham, and Jeff was so dominant back here in the 90s. And one year, he came back, he won the race and didn't have damage on the right side. He was so proud. He told Ray, and Ray goes, I don't think you were trying hard enough. You didn't hit the wall one time, so I had to love it. So let's go down to pit road for a few more updates. We'll start with Parker Kligerman.
Guys, Martin Truex Jr. won here in 2016. He won the first and the second stage last year, and barring that they tried to go too far on tires, he probably would have won last year, so they'd be going for 3 in a row. I asked Cole Pern what kind of car they have for tonight. He goes, I don't know. We didn't have enough practice. We'll see in stage 1, Dave.
Parker, the question was asked about Kevin Harvick starting so far back. Well, in qualifying, his right front tire equalized. What that means is the inner liner gave pressure to the outer part of the tire, making it very difficult to drive. That's why he had such a tough qualifying effort, Kelly.
Dave, you might want to keep your eyes on the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. He has to start this race from the rear of the field for unapproved adjustments after fixing some damage sustained during qualifying. Good news for Jimmy. 2 of his last 3 wins have come starting from the rear, Marty.
Kelly, if you're looking for one player outside the playoffs right now to make some noise tonight, keep your eye on Ryan Newman. He will start 6th. Both Luke Lambert and Ryan told me best car we've had all year long.
There are the updates. Junior, this is the moment we've been waiting for. The pace car is off.
Denny Hamlin taking the high side for this first start. They come to the Geico restart zone, but this was controlled by the flag man. There you see it, the green flag is out. The Southern 500. Great restart by Denny so far. Larson, though, hot on his tail, running a little bit lower. Denny's line here. I'm going to watch this all night long. Denny's line, he has such a unique line, and he might not run it here early on new tires, but as he gets those tires worn out, the way he moves around, keep an eye on that.
The balance and give and take is already underway. Only 1 lap in. You have to push on these starts and these restarts when the field is bunched up. You also have to save your equipment and beware of this racetrack. It will reach out and grab you. You already see multiple lines. You saw Denny Hamlin up the racetrack. The 42 of Kyle Larson lower down. That's in 3 and 4. We see a pass back here. The 22 of Joe Logano moving around Ryan Newman.
Yeah, Joey's so low into turn 1, trying to get down there and use that apron. Not give up too much speed in the center of the corner. Get off the corner pretty good here.
I blinked, and I went back to about 1998. It's the bright yellow 24 in the throwback scheme going by the 18 in the Skittles scheme. Felt like I was back in the Southern 500, although Kyle Busch still under attack by his teammate, the 20.
Yeah, that's impressive seeing William take that position. He's hounding the bumper of Ryan Newman down here in turn 1 and 2. Running just a little bit lower. You talk about the different lines. You got to get out from behind that guy to get some air on the front of the car. He's really putting the pressure on here.
Well, I instantly asked myself, though, is the young man pushing too hard? Is the wily veteran Ryan Newman, he said it's his favorite racetrack, is he conserving a little tire here, saying, you know what, young man, I've seen this before. You go ahead. I'm going to see you in a few more laps when your tires wear out.
There, he's got position. He's going to be able to make the pass. I think Ryan will back off here down into turn 1, and he does that. William Byron moving to the front here. We got Marty.
Hey, you guys talk about Ryan Newman struggling with a race car that's a little bit too tight. I'm sure that's not what you want as a driver early here in the Southern 500. One thing that has played in the driver's favor, you see all this cloud cover, Junior. Normally, you turn off turn 2, there's a massive sunset early in this race. They don't have that right now, so that's in the driver's advantage.
Absolutely, man. That is horrible. You can't see the corner, so you just have to trust your gut and really run the bottom. You don't even run the top because you might get in the fence. Those guys don't have to worry about that right now, and they're loving it. Let's take a look how it looks right now with this cloud cover. Pretty clean.
Oh, this exit of turn 2 right here. Take me through it, though. It's so difficult.
Yeah, he's running just a little bit lower. Looking, he's almost all the apron on corner exit. Car in front of him running a little bit higher. He's trying to keep that clean air on the front of his car. Run whether or not.
We mentioned throwback paint schemes. This one changed overnight. It showed up solid blue, that original look. Now they got the Dayglow red on it. Bubba Wallace starting it a little bit farther back than he wanted. Working on, I think that's the 32 of Matt DiBenedetto in the Jeff Burton throwback.
Yeah. He was all on apron. Let's see what he does. He's not even close to the wall. We see a lot of guys run this particular line, which is unique. Not even getting to the fence in the center of 1 and 2.
I like that early.
Yeah.
Save your car a little bit, right? I mean, it's got to be safer down the racetrack.
It is safer. You're not, you know, that's why I think a lot of guys run low, especially in 3 and 4, is because if they do make a mistake, they can correct it and not get in the fence. But it also is out of the groove, you know, the darkness of the racetrack where the rubber's been put down. That's definitely more abrasive on the tire.
Jimmy Johnson had to actually start at the rear of the field after some unapproved modifications. You see him right there in the black and white Lowe's number 48. He had a Darlington stripe that had to beat out the right side fenders after qualifying, so he's working on the 95 of Casey Kane in his own throwback scheme as well on the right side of your screen, while on the left side, Joe Logano passes the 88 of Alex Bowman for the 4th position.
Yeah, Jimmy's been fast all weekend. HMS as a whole has been quick all weekend, much quicker than we've seen in the past. And I talked to Jimmy last night. For the first time I've heard all year, he's happy with his race car. So look for him all night long to make moves like this. Driving that car toward the front. It's going to get a little harder as he gets close to the front, but it looks like that speed is still there.
Yeah, and you mentioned he's the biggest mover. Both the 48 of Jimmy Johnson and the 1 of Jamie McMurray moved up. Jimmy 13 positions, Jamie McMurray 10 positions. Jamie, his weekend started off rough. He broke an engine right at the beginning of first practice, set him behind all weekend, slowly recovering here though. And look, Junior, we're only 10 laps in. This thing's 367 laps and there's already action. As you see Casey Kane working the bottom of the racetrack. And as these guys are racing, we look back towards the front. We got Logano who went by Bowman. Now William Byron in that 24 car trying to pass his teammate Alex Bowman in the 88. I believe Bowman will let him go here into turn 1. 11 laps complete here at Darlington. Denny Hamlin leading. Kyle Larson is second, trying to chase him down. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Darlington Raceway.
NASCAR Drive is your live race day companion. Watch throughout the broadcast and select alternative camera angles or ride along with in-car video of your favorite drivers. You can even watch multiple angles at once. Never miss a lap with NASCAR Drive. Visit NASCAR.com/drive or download the NASCAR mobile app today.
On board here, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Well, folks, 16 laps complete here at Darlington, and we have a new leader. The 42 of Kyle Larson finally worked his way around Denny Hamlin. He now has about a 1-second lead on the driver of the 11. We go back and take a look, Junior. Right here, heading down the backstretch, Denny Hamlin didn't get the best run off turn 2, and it looks like Kyle Larson's just going to head to the top of the racetrack and get a run on him.
That's right. Denny chose the bottom there. Slides up off the apron, has to slow the car way down to get back to the bottom. Apex again. While that's all happening, Larson around the top has the momentum. Stretched out to a nice little lead here.
We got a new leader on the racetrack. We got a new member up here in the booth. Mr. Burton, Jeff Burton, how was your ride in the pace car?
It was awesome, man. We're at the Southern 500. I got to be on the racetrack, and it reminded me, Junior, how rough it is, and all the debris on this racetrack is incredible. There's stuff coming in the car, and I couldn't wait to get up here to see these guys going at it.
These guys going at it. Alex Bowman in 8th, Ryan Newman 9th, Keselowski in 10th, Chase Elliott in 11th.
Bowman is struggling right now. He's falling back to the field. And he's got all these guys held up right here, so they're all trying to attack each other. They see Bowman struggling. He's a wounded fish, man, that they're all trying to go up there and take him out, and they're trying to take each other out while they can or make that pass while they can. See, Keselowski is not going to wait on Newman to make the pass on Bowman. He's going to attack Newman and then maybe get Bowman as well.
Newman's trying to pinch him down a little bit, not give him that exit. He's going to make this work. Normally, Alex Bowman would have to give this spot up. Great move by Alex Bowman. Don't go in there side by side this early in the race. Just give that spot up.
He's been struggling last several laps with his car, so he's really okay with letting these guys go for now. He can't wait to get to pit road, make some adjustments. He knows he has a great race car because he's been fast in practice. So those guys, you know, there's a lot of guys like him out on the racetrack right now just struggling, cannot wait to get a caution. See that yellow flag, you just get a sigh of relief so you can come down pit road and work on it.
Let's jump on board with Brad Keselowski and listen to what they've been talking about.
We have really good entry and turn to the center through 1 off the wall. We just can't complete the momentum exiting to running that lower line, trying to get under somebody.
That's it. I mean, the bottom line is really good through the middle of the corner. It's just hard to carry that speed on corner exit. The guy on the outside, he doesn't have to turn his steering wheel as much. He runs a little bit straighter off the corner. It's easier to get a straight run off the top.
We see Chase Elliott working by Ryan Newman in the 31. I'm glad we went to the radio of the two of Brad Keselowski, because, man, I closed my eyes, and it was Rusty Wallace. He was my favorite driver growing up, and that is Brad's scheme, that number 2 Miller Genuine Draft car. That's 1990, the Grand Prix Pontiac on the right side of your screen. What a great replica throwback. I mean, identical, Junior.
Yes, sir, buddy. Looks good. Here's a battle for second. Denny Hamlin trying to hold off Mark Truex Jr., man. This team, a lot of people counting out these 78 guys because of the rumors or the idea or potential of that team having to actually close down at the end of the year because of the lack of sponsorship. But it looks like right now they still have the speed. Just harder to make. Oh, Denny almost getting in the fence all that corner.
And Truex with a smart move there. He went to the bottom in the middle of 1 and 2. He saw Hamlin wasn't going to give him the spot, so he just lifted rather than coming off of turn 2 side by side, Marty.
And Jeff, Denny Hamlin saying his car too tight right now. I can imagine for you drivers, or too free, I should say. Can't imagine having a race car that's free and you're running as close to the wall as you are here at Darlington like Denny Hamlin is. But he also told me before the race, it takes about 20 to 25 laps for my car to even get decent. And then after that, I think we're the best car. So, Burton, you've been here with a car that's really good on long runs. How key is that here at Darlington?
I think it's huge, Marty. The only thing about long runs and having great long run speed is it can't be so far off that taking off you lose all your track position, because it's hard to get it back. So a combination of those two is what you really need.
And I'm watching Denny Hamlin. He's changed his line in turns 1 and 2 to improve the speed in his car. Here's a battle for 10th place. Ryan Newman and Kevin Harvick. Harvick coming through the field from way back in his original starting position. He's really working through the field here. Newman's struggling right now, kind of falling back, but trying to maintain the best he can. Harvick all the way down on the apron at corner exit.
And Steve, Harvick's situation is really interesting this weekend. They had a tire equalize during qualifying. He didn't know what he had. They weren't real sure what kind of race car they had because of that equalized tire in practice.
See Harvick make the pass, running the apron down there. I asked Harvick, how do you run that apron, or why? What are you trying to accomplish? He says, it's just safer. I don't get in the fence as much running on the apron all night as I do running against the wall. If I have an issue, I can correct the car without getting in the wall. So I thought it would be because he sets his car up to run down there. The balance is better for him, and that just suits his line or his style. But he runs there to preserve and survive.
Well, any way you can take some teeth out of this racetrack, I think it's a good idea. It's difficult enough as it is. And he knows what he's doing. Everything goes up top when he has to, right? I mean, he has the ability to move up and down.
They changed the left side tires. We come back to this race, and I think it's altered a lot of the lines for these guys. We saw the Xfinity guys and in practice for the Cup guys, all of them running the high line in 3 and 4.
But look at Harvick here. He's not against the wall in the middle of 1 and 2. You talked about him trying to protect his race car. Even in 1 and 2, where the majority of cars are going to be just all but on the right side wall with the right side of the car, he is running the middle of the racetrack to protect his race.
Back to the bottom here.
27 laps complete. Kyle Larson, the leader, a little over 2-second lead. And look at this, lap traffic, guys. We're going to say that all day here at the very narrow Darlington Raceway. NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series Racing, the Bojangles Southern 500. You see Kyle Larson here still leading, now has over a 5-second lead, continues to dominate early in this race, doing a great job avoiding the traffic, avoiding the wall. But let's take some time now for the Subway Fresh Take. We'll head down to Kelly Stavist.
Yeah, and Steve, before the break, we had seen the 88 of Alex Bowman going the wrong way. He was just unhappy with the race car, said it was too loose. He felt like the rear end was out of the track. And then he came over the radio, said he felt like something was broken. Well, it turned out to be a flat right rear tire, so the 88 had to come to pit road. While we were at break, they put 4 fresh Goodyear tires and made an adjustment to the left side of that car, made a chassis adjustment to try to help him out with his handling. But obviously a costly, unplanned pit stop for the 88.
Yeah, so we're getting ready to see, Steve, how important tires are at this racetrack. Watch Alex Bowman. He's going to drive through the field. He's currently 2 laps down. It's huge for him to run Kyle Larson down and to be only 1 lap down in case the caution comes out. So right now, he is going as fast as he possibly can go to get to Kyle Larson.
He's about a straightaway behind Kyle, and he'll probably be able to run him down if he can, if the track can stay green.
And I'll go one further, Dale, that once he's able to run the leader down, I would then pull the reins back because he's going to have to, fuel-wise, he can make it to the end of this stage. Everyone else has to pit, but that is going to be a lot of abuse on that right front tire. So I'm going to say, hey, buddy, just get us the 1 lap down and then almost baby that tire. Just barely stay in front of the leader.
Still a good battle here for second. These guys have been going at it tooth and nail. Denny Hamlin at altered his line, goes into turn 1 higher. He's about a half a car to a full car higher. He does that because see what he does through the middle of the corner, really gets to the center, and he also runs higher on corner exit here. Marty.
Denny Hamlin still struggling with a loose race car as he battles his corporate teammate here, Martin Truex Jr., trying to hang on to that second position. Steve, now the question is a lot of chatter on the radios about when you come to pit road. Obviously, you want tires. We see what the difference they've made for the 88 car, but how willing are you to come early in this window and give up track position and put on tires?
Well, we see the pass. The 78 gets by the 11 of Denny Hamlin. It looks like the 20 of Eric Jones is trying to go by as well. So, Marty, the answer is yes, I'm willing to come early. There's no doubt I'm going to come before I need that Sunoco fuel. The question is how early. I think the easy decision is lap 50, right? Just break it up in halves. 50 laps on each set of tires. I think you can gamble a little bit and come earlier than that. The real question is, how long can your driver hold on, Jeff, right? I mean, as these tires slip and slide, I think on top of the pit box, you're half strategist, half psychologist. Kind of keep rooting your guy on, but at the same time, keeping him off that wall.
Well, you mentioned the guy on the pit box. Well, for the 78 car, that's Cole Pearn. We see Eric Jones making a move at him. Well, all these throwback paint schemes. Oh, that was close. Oh, Cole Pearn, he decided that this throwback was from something just a few weeks ago. Check this out. Really liking that throwback to the first win of the year from Fontana. He didn't go back to the 80s or the 70s. He just went back to Fontana.
Eric Jones, though, he's taking it to the front here in second place now from seventh place start position. Best car on the racetrack.
Well, and Eric Jones's throwback is to a spotter. Rick Corelli. I wonder what it's like to be the spotter on the roof and see your own paint scheme on the car. That's pretty cool.
Well, he's running second, so Rick Corelli's going to say, hey, man, that's me.
Well, there you have it, guys. On the left side of your screen, the 88 of Alex Bowman has run down the leader, Kyle Larson, and unlapped from 2-2-1. So currently, 88, because of that flat right rear tire, had to pit. He's now 1 lap down as we see Eric Jones continue to make some good passes here. Let's listen in to the defending champion, Martin Truex Jr. in the 78.
Not bad right here. A little snug landed at one. A little slippery up the hill, but overall pretty balanced.
So slippery up the hill. Right, there's no hills here. Well, up the hill is when you drive into turn 1 on the bottom and you slide up to the wall. That's going up the hill. The same thing happens in 3. So he's talking about the transition from the entrance to the corner to the middle of the corner. Parker.
Well, and he's also talked about the exit of the corner, Jeff. He's talked about going into turn 2 and needing the tires to work better through turn. You noted how he was running a lower line when he was passing Denny Hamlin there. Well, a lot of that was getting those front tires to work as he comes down that hill into turn 2 and the car compresses and loads up. Dave.
Parker, the progress Eric Jones is making toward the front is big news for his team. I talked to Chris Gale, his crew chief, earlier today, and he said, I can preach tire saving all I want to the young man, and he's very good. He knows exactly what to do, but it's only his second Cup race here. Whether or not he gets it will be in how he applies it tonight. And when his spotter told him, Eric, everyone's coming back to you, Eric knew he was doing the right thing. Saved his tires early. Now he's got some grip and a lot of speed in that 20 car.
Dave, that's an awesome report. I talked to Eric this morning. Eric told me the strength of his team and his car this weekend was long runs, and that's important at this racetrack. So we're going to see if Eric can keep that up for the rest of the night. Southern 500.
Working left 46 here in the Southern 500 at Darlington. Yes, Denny Hamlin, who started from the pole today, led the first 11 laps of the race, is on pit road, along with several other cars making their way here early, kind of splitting that stage, like Steve said, in half. Denny Hamlin has said his car's extremely loose up the hill into turn 1 and loose on exit of turn 4, and he cannot get back to the gas, Parker.
Martin Truex Jr. has been struggling with being too tight. We noted how he's been wanting that car to work better up the hill and down the hill, meaning into turn 1 and turn 2. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel on that, Dave.
Kevin Harvick has made a lot of progress so far. Hits pit road, 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. He said his car was tight, but it really wasn't bad, Kelly.
Brad Keselowski started by saying that his car was a little bit disconnected with its forward drive, but by the end he said it was phenomenal turning down the hill. You see it's 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel for the 2, Dave.
Eric Jones all the way up to second place. His car was operating very well. No changes to the 20. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel, crew going to work now, trying to get him off of pit road in the same spot, Marty.
Joey Logano coming down pit road, as he told us in the pre-race show. Very good on the short run. They did fall off, but not as bad as they did in practice yesterday on the longer run. Logano saying his car too tight for him. Going to be an air pressure adjustment, Dave.
And Kyle Busch has said too tight about his race car, too. They make adjustments for that and send him back out.
What an impressive run for Kyle Larson, leading 38 laps so far of the 49 that we have run. He said his car got looser the longer they ran. As the rubber built up on the racetrack, he was kind of fighting that, but obviously had a big lead. We'll see what he can do here on these pit stops a little bit later in the window than everybody else for Kyle Larson coming to pit road.
That is a great point, Marty. We'll see. The 42 did come a little bit later than most. He did have a 9-second lead, though, so I have a sneaky suspicion he's going to be okay as far as the lead goes. We'll have to compare how it looks after the pit stops.
There's that beautiful car called Quicksilver, introduced at the 95 All-Star race for Dale Earnhardt. He had never run anything but a black Goodwrench car. This is a replica of that. As for the car tonight at Darlington, Austin Dillon has been very happy with it. He said, I don't know if I touch it just yet. They will touch it with 4 Goodyear tires and a fill of Sunoco fuel.
Junior, you've been talking about this car all weekend. This silver car that your dad ran back in '95.
Yeah, it's a good-looking race car. Dad was real proud of it. Those guys did a good job making that thing look pretty similar, and I know that Austin and, you know, his connection with the family as a grandson of Richard Childress is proud to be out there driving that car. He knows the history of this team well as anybody.
How about the chaos of green flag pit stops? As soon as one guy hits pit road here at Darlington, everybody comes. It was about, what, 3 or 4 laps. We saw everybody pit. No change for the lead, though. The 42 of Kyle Larson right here has about a 3.5-second lead. I misspoke. I said he had a 9-second lead before. He had a 5-second lead before pit stops. Now he has a 3.5-second lead over Martin Truex Jr. in second. Eric Jones in third. Joey Logano fourth. Joey's teammate Brad Keselowski in fifth. Denny Hamlin, the pole sitter, currently running sixth.
And how did this work out for Alex Bowman? Remember, he had to pit earlier with a flat right rear tire. Well, now he's back in the lead lap. He's in 11th. Now, he's got older tires than everybody else, so what you said earlier is exactly right. What they needed to do, once they got 1 lap down, was conserve. Because now he could still have to go 48 more laps on this set of tires. So his goal, really, the way I see it, with as many laps on his tires as he has, is to end this stage on the lead lap. I think if he does that, that would be a win.
Pit stops, the pit crews are going to be busy. Green flag stops are complete. We expect to see 10, 11, maybe 12 more pit stops tonight in the Southern 500.
What's a throwback weekend without a brand that has been enjoyed in Victory Lane for almost 40 years? Busch Beer. Busch has been there for iconic moments, like the classic 1979 Daytona 500 with the battle between the Allisons and Cale Yarborough. Now they're more involved than ever with their sponsorship of Kevin Harvick, the return of the Busch Pole Award, and Harvick driving a car inspired by Busch's racetrack-specific collectible can series dating back to 1996. Busch Beer, the official beer of NASCAR.
Man, I don't know about you boys, but that made me thirsty right there. That was a great little read. The Busch Pole Award, that's been around forever.
Riding in car right here with Kevin Harvick, and he waves at a competitor for letting him get on by. Probably a lap car. He's moved all the way to the 7th place from 22nd. I mean, you just don't make that kind of ground on this racetrack. These guys get pretty spread out and be able to make those positions. Pretty impressive. Great fast car.
Yeah, look at this right here. I'm really surprised. Ryan Blaney in that 12 car just has not had a lot of pace this weekend, and going a lap down on lap 60 in the Southern 500. I know they expected to run better than that. They just haven't shown the speed, been struggling.
But this is the moment where you have to not panic. I mean, you're going to have a caution guaranteeing 40 laps at the end of the stage. I mean, look what new tires are worth. 14 miles an hour.
Will make this place awesome. You got to be able to go fast on new tires and still find a way to go fast with tires with no grip. So we heard a report earlier that Erik Jones made a comment that he didn't do a very good job getting on pit road, trying to be cautious. Well, it's a good reason to be cautious at this racetrack, Junior. This is the most difficult pit road to get on. You see David Ragan, he just blows by him, but the reason it's difficult is you can't see the entrance to pit road. So it's pretty smart, really, to make a mistake by not being too aggressive early in the race, because if you miss it, that could be major, major problem. So he lost a spot for doing that, but he learned a lot, and he'll be able to get in there better the next time.
Yeah, he'll definitely. It's good to be conservative, so you don't make the mistake of going by pit road, but he did lose that position. He's right on the tail of the 78 car right now and trying to get that position back. Where's Parker at? I see him right there.
Yeah, I'm in turn 2 right here. I think it's probably the toughest corner in all of NASCAR. And I'm standing so close, I can see the different lines these drivers are using as they try to either run up high or use the apron way down low. It's actually terrifying to be here, I'm not going to lie. And to watch these cars come very close and slither about all the way up to the wall. And I got to ask one other thing that I noticed up here. If you ever want to know why this place is so abrasive on tires, come stand up here, because I have been obliterated by sand and dirt and dust and all sorts of things pelting me in the face right now.
Well, Parker, while you were talking, we saw the 48 of Jimmie Johnson slow, tried to come to pit road. Kelly, he came across a commitment box. He may have a penalty, but he's heading to you on pit road.
Yeah, bad news for Jimmie Johnson, who had worked his way all the way up to 14th. He said he had a vibration, ran a couple more laps, and told the team as they were checking video to make sure that they got all the lug nuts tight the last time down pit lane. He said it's definitely a loose rear wheel. You see him changing the tires there on the left side. They'll move to the right side. Didn't want to take any chances. And just another bad mistake from this 48 team, who has shown a lot of speed this weekend. This is not what they were looking to do early in this race.
Well, as we see Jimmie Johnson on pit road, that 20 you talked about, slow to pit road. Why does that matter? The 22-year-old putting that in the memory bank, fighting to live another day, getting to pit road, and it's paying off as he passes the 78 for second. Dave?
And Steve, he owned it. Listen.
About getting off pit road, I'll get better. Didn't want to ruin it first stop.
He didn't want to ruin the first stop. There you have it. He knows it. He took the right move, and that may pay off for later.
Guys, I love that out of a young driver.
Yes.
I love that.
Yes, it's 500 miles, a very, very difficult racetrack. Don't make a mistake this early.
We do got Jimmie Johnson back on pit road. He did have a commitment line violation, so back down pit road to serve that penalty. Here's the replay of that issue.
Well, this just proves how difficult it is. You're going to see an orange box coming up. He has to have all 4 tires under the orange box right there. I mean, the right sides are definitely over it, if not outside it. All 4 tires have to be underneath that orange box. It just confirms what Erik Jones was saying. Hey, guys, I didn't want to mess it up. This is an 83-time winner, a 7-time champion. Missing the box. I know he had a loose wheel. I know he had to come to pit road, but it only makes it more painful now that he has to pit twice.
More painful. They haven't really had the season they've wanted to. They came here this weekend, and all the Hendrick cars have been pretty quick in qualifying. It's race trim as well in practice. So 2 Hendrick cars already snake bit early in this race.
It's so difficult to get on this pit road. We saw that mistake. The thing that you have to do is you have a tool to use, and the tool is the yellow line. That yellow line that wraps around, get it onto the pit road, that's it right there. You have to drive and use that yellow line. Get your left sides below it. If you're below that, you're fine. Your right side's below it, you're fine, but you just cannot see that orange box, Kelly.
Yeah, and I sat with Chad Knaus, crew chief on the 48, for about 10 minutes today, who was in a really good mood, loves this place, and was really encouraged, saying we've found some reasonable speed in our cars. The thing that we need to do now is start eliminating the stupid mistakes, the thing that we're doing, the self-inflicted wounds, which is exactly what's just happened here. He said it's been penalties on pit road, miscues on pit road, bad pit calls, getting into the wall on track, and now this is exactly what they did not want to do. He does not feel comfortable, by the way, with their position to get into the playoffs, so this is not helping that cause either.
Well, and I agree that you can't feel comfortable. Even though he is above the line in 15th in points, you could have a new winner. You can have these mistakes. He's now 3 laps down, so there's no guarantee that this race could continue to go the way he wants. If he stays 3 laps down, he's going to lose a ton of points. One thing I've noticed, Burton, it's been a little bit crazy since you showed up here. I mean, the first few laps were calm. You come out of the Camaro, next thing I know, people are everywhere.
Well, it wasn't calm in the Camaro either, to be clear. I tried to pass Richard Childress, and he blocked me.
We saw all that.
Yeah, he's blocking.
You can't stay in line. You're supposed to stay in line. You can't even do it. That's a race car driver in you.
Was that a rule?
I think so.
I didn't know.
And I don't know if you know, but we had a little lightning delay. Junior and I, we talked through all that while you were down there chumming it up.
Hey, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. We changed the battery. We changed spark plugs. We adjusted the floats and adjusted the throttle linkage in that 30-minute break. We were working.
Well, we mentioned the points. You see, he's 98 points above, and I want to be clear. 98 points is a decent amount of points, but remember, a new winner moves up. We talked about Ryan Newman back at 18th. If he has a good day, he can move up. And you mentioned points. Well, how about the 16th place guy in points, Kelly Alex Bowman, back on pit road again?
Yeah, as you would expect, because they had to come to pit road unexpectedly for a tire that they found to have a hole in it, which just continued to lose air. So now their last stop was lap 28. So now Alex Bowman making another pit stop. We'll see how he can do on these fresh tires if he can get one of those laps back.
And Kelly, the penalty we haven't really talked about is not just time on the racetrack, but those 4 Goodyear tires. These teams only have 12 sets in their pits, 500 miles. You have to manage those tires. These mistakes early cost them both the 48 and the 8, an extra set of tires. NBC Sports on Sirius XM, NASCAR Radio Channel 90, Wednesdays at 9 a.m., the morning drive. Dale Jr., this is your week. You're going to call in, join Pete Pistone, Mike Bagley, have a conversation about the Southern 500, perhaps the upcoming Brickyard 400.
Yeah, it'll be a lot of fun. Have never called into that show and done this. It should be a lot of fun for me, and look forward to it.
Well, it's almost 8 o'clock here in Darlington. Still 92 degrees on pit road, and look inside this car. 119 degrees. This race just started. We only have 289 to go, and it's 119 degrees in that car.
Just please make sure let's make sure we know everybody that's Dale Jr. on the telestrator, because I don't want to take credit for that half-connected circle that just happened.
It says it's 119, but the humidity inside that car is just unbearable.
And at your feet, down there at your feet, it's a 249,000 degrees. It's so hot. There you see it. There's Alex Bowman. He's got a long way to go to get back to Kyle Larson to put himself one down. I don't know if there's going to be enough time with 20 to go, but he's going to be digging hard trying to make it happen.
Well, we've talked, has gone green from the start of the race. Kyle Larson continues to extend that lead, now over the 20 of Eric Jones at 6.5 seconds. I think the story is how many cars he's lapped. He's up to the 17th position. He's lapped Jamie McMurray at 17th. Next up, Eric Almirola just in front of him in the 16th position. That's a good run, 16th. You have Austin Dillon at 15th. And how about the 37 of Chris Buescher up in the 14th position? A great run out of that car. So they're doing what they need to do, but the 42 of Kyle Larson is just putting such a pace down. Well, let's see who's on the move. Brought to you by Carl's Jr. And guess who it is? Kyle Larson. He's led 70 laps tonight. Only 16 cars in the lead lap. This guy is on the move, and everybody is taking note. What does Eric Almirola do at this point, guys? He just can't panic, right? You just got to settle in. 18 laps to the end of stage 1, Marty.
Closing in on that end of the stage, and what's impressive to me about Kyle Larson, Steve, is how he's able to lay down this pace, and he's got a free race car. You can visibly see it off the corner at times. He's wiggling that race car, so a loose car for Kyle Larson, but incredible pace. Also impressive, Joey Logano. He's back there in the 4th position, running some very solid laps. This is the team, Jeff Burton, that no doubt has said, we've got to find more speed before these playoffs hit. So they volunteered to do a tire test at Texas 2 weeks ago. They found some things there, brought it here. Clearly it's worked out, but Team Penske overall, you said on NASCAR America many times, needs to find a little bit before the playoffs hit.
Well, the playoffs are 2 weeks away, Marty. And if you're going to find it, you better find it now. So I agree with you. It's very optimistic for this team, to come here and run like this. We've seen them run 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th in that range. To be able to be in the top 4 tonight
And if they can make their car better, possibly contend to win this race, that would be a huge step forward.
Right behind them, they got teammate Brad Keselowski. You talk about Blaney struggling. He actually had laps in practice that I liked. I thought he had good average speed in practice. Surprised to see them struggle, but Penske definitely having a good night so far. Joey seemed to be in a great attitude. Seemed to be in a great mood when we talked to him earlier about this race.
And you mentioned the throwback paint scheme. Well, that you should recognize this is DEI days. This is the Steve Park throwback, Junior. This is while it's different colors than the Budweiser car you drove, it that same sort of solid with the stripes down the side. Such a great job. I mean, that's an accurate throwback right there.
Yeah, it's a good looking car. I know Steve Park was very happy that they did this throwback. Steve did a great job for us at DEI. He laid the groundwork really for that Xfinity team that I got to drive for, where we won the championships. They had built that team up to being that competitive once I got in the seat.
Well, 15 laps to the end of stage 1, the 42 of Kyle Larson, a little under a 7-second lead here at Darlington. We're going to go NASCAR nonstop.
The NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series heads to Indianapolis next weekend for the Brickyard 400, which includes a free concert from Florida Georgia Line. It's a regular season finale. Don't miss a chance to see the winner kiss the bricks and become part of racing history. Visit NASCAR.com/tickets to purchase your tickets today.
How about that view right there, guys? This place is packed. Darlington with some great renovations. They put new seats in, more comfortable seats, got a cup holder for all these people. I mean, this place is jam-packed for the Southern 500. And how about this? Stage 2, like father, like son. Junior, you're going to jump over, join Kyle Petty and Dale Jarrett in the booth. Man, it's going to be fun. Burton, you and I, we get to sit back and just listen. That's my kind of coverage.
I've been doing a lot of watching today.
Look
Look at that work, man. He is working.
Look at Larson, man. He's lapping up to 14th position is what Austin Dillon's in.
Dillon's battling. He
just like Chris Buescher. Chris Buescher just lost a lap. Let's take a look at the replay. This is getting pretty interesting here in 3 and 4. Dillon's trying to pass Chris Buescher because he doesn't want to get lapped. Come together right there.
Larson went, no, not going in there.
Yeah, Larson backed off. Made a smart move.
Hey, those are the moves. 7 to go. Those are the moves that could, save you a lap, change the whole course of your day.
Dillon is down a lap now, so Marty, what do you got?
Well, Junior, I found something interesting that Kyle Larson said earlier this week. You would think because everyone runs a high line here at Darlington, it would immediately be an advantage for Kyle Larson. He told me, I don't think that's the case. He said, because when I'm at Miami or Chicago or places like that, I feel wind off the wall. He said, the pace is so slow here at Darlington, I don't feel that wind off the wall. So he said, I don't think it's an advantage for me to run the high line to here. So sort of explain what Kyle is talking about, Dale.
Yeah, actually, Dillon's still on lead lap, but he actually says that, he likes to run the high line, and he runs that well at a lot of racetracks like Chicago and Homestead, but the pace here is so slow because of the fall off that you can't create that cushion that you typically create against the fence. So he doesn't feel that cushion quite as much as he feels at other racetracks. Still, I mean, he's running great tonight, but the high line here is not like at other racetracks. There is no real high line. You don't get up against the wall and create enough speed and air against the car. So he would know better than anybody, because I think he's the best running the top, and he knows why he runs the top.
Well, this throwback scene from Kyle Larson, he is just flying, but it's a throwback to Davey Allison in the 1987 to 90 Texaco Havoline car, and it's cool to see that car up front. Davey had such a bright future in this sport, and unfortunately we lost him early, and it's great to see somebody represent Davey Allison tonight.
Right in front of the leader here, you see Austin Dillon. He's caught. Boy, he's caught Byron. And those two guys now are battling for position to try to be leader.
And they've caught slower traffic. So there's going to be a battle through this slow traffic while Kyle Larson is coming with 3 to go.
And who's behind Kyle Larson is Christopher Buescher, and he's hoping that he don't pass any of these guys so that Christopher Buescher can get the lucky dog when this stage is over with.
Oh, big slide out of 24.
Yeah, Byron's going to go down a lap easily. That's just how good Larson's car is, man. He's not having any trouble. What's he going to do here?
He's blowing dust off the left rear tire.
And right now, the biggest fan, William Byron, he loves Austin Dillon right now. He needs Austin Dillon to stay in front of Kyle Larson. It's going to be hard to do. Austin's been running hard. He's going to see what he does down here in 1, 3, and 4. Will he drive to the bottom and give Kyle the top? This lap car of Stenhouse, that's going to be the key. Who can get around him?
That's going to cost him the lap. Larson's going to get that momentum around the top here, and he's going to put a lap on Austin Dillon.
Oh!
Austin not giving it to him.
Oh, Larson is not going to like that. Damage on the left front fender of the leader, the 42 of Kyle Larson.
He does have some pretty decent damage right there. Luckily, coming to the stage end, he'll be able to adjust that, get that tuned up, but that definitely sends Austin Dillon a good ways ahead. So now he gets good clearance. Coming to the last couple of corners before this stage is over. This will be Kyle Larson's first stage win if he can get through 3 and 4.
Second stage win, yep. I'll give him down low. You mentioned it, only the second one. He lost the playoff point. That's why we thought it was his first. He lost the first one, but this will be his second. He'll take the playoff point, but he's got to be fuming with the 3 of Austin Dillon racing so hard. Now, Austin Dillon staying on the lead lap, but damage to the 42 after being so dominant in stage 1. We're going to have to see him repair that car.
Well, Larson's mad, but William Byron's happy because that put William Byron the first car lap down, so he should get the free pass. So, you know, hey, stage ends, man. It's a stage in. Every point matters. You can't go laps down, and we just saw the aggression level pick up.
How many times have we seen these stage ends create these moments? Look at this, Junior, the 3 slides up. Man, contact with the 42, the race leader. Pit stops when we come back to Darlington.
Welcome back to Darlington here. Pit stop starting. You see Kyle Larson far ahead of second place there of Eric Jones. But in third place is Martin Truex Jr., who came on the radio midway through that run and said, I'm just trying not to knock the wall down around this racetrack. They're going to do 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel and an air pressure adjustment on the 78, Dave.
Parker mentioned that gap. We'll see if the pit crew can pick Eric Jones up just a little bit. Just an air pressure adjustment for a car that's getting a little bit free.
Dave, finally a playoff point in the bank for Kyle Larson. When he was asked about the contact with Austin Dillon, he said, I was just trying to be nice. I don't know what happened. They're not too worried about that left front damage. They are going to check it right there. They're going to do that. Again, the car too free for Larson for much of that run. They made a wedge adjustment trying to tighten it up, and he will easily win the race off pit road.
This race off pit road brought to you by Kroger Click List. Larson kept the lead. Logano picked up 1. Truex lost 1.
Hey, race fans. When in Las Vegas, stay where the racers stay at the South Point Hotel, Casino, and Spa. Your ultimate pit stop on the Las Vegas Strip. South Point. Everything you want, all under one roof.
Stage 1 at Darlington in the books. The Lady in Black, too tough to tame. So many nicknames, and it didn't disappoint. So much history, so much pageantry. This place has it all. Currently, Kyle Larson is taking advantage of it. Rick, Kyle, DJ down to the Peacock pit box. What did you all think about that first stage?
Well, very impressive, obviously. One of the things I saw right away is the fall off of these tires. I mean, 4 seconds from when they started a segment or a run until they had to come onto pit road, 4 seconds. But then the margin of first to second, it was only, I think, 6 seconds or 7 seconds.
Yeah.
Heck, your dad won the race by 14 laps back in 1965, so this was nothing.
Certainly a lot of difference. They had a lot of problems those days of cars overheating and things. But what the problem is here for the rest of the competition tonight is Kyle Larson able to go anywhere and everything. You talk about the fall off. He did a great job of managing that all the way until he was coming off turn 4 with about a lap to go there and got a little damage on the left front. Let's see if that hurts him any.
Yeah, the interesting part to me is all but 4 cars. The first 4 cars were just in one half of the racetrack. Everybody else was at least a half a track or more down. So it's amazing when you take a driver like a Kyle Larson put him on these tires. You talk about the drop-off. It's time over distance. He's not trying to just bust off fast lap after fast lap. He's just trying to duplicate lap after lap and make the best time he can. Doing a great job tonight. This has been interesting so far.
I noticed you guys are a little bit sweaty, and you probably need some air conditioning. So why don't you guys go up to the booth, join Dale Earnhardt Jr. so that we have an Earnhardt, a Jarrett, and a Petty calling the Southern 500. I think that's going to be great.
I'm ready for the pageantry of the booth.
Yes, like the way you think.
I'm sure you are. All right, enjoy yourselves, guys. Let's go to Rut.
Rick, we are over here in the Pearson Grandstands, coming out of turn 4, and I am over here with my buddy Joe. He has been coming to every race here since 1964. This is your 115th race, is that right?
1004 Cup race.
That's how many Cup races he's seen. U.S. Navy, 6 kids. One of them tried to get married on Labor Day weekend. He said, "You can't get married on Labor Day. I got to be here at the race." Are you having a good time tonight?
Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. Yes, I did. Yeah. I met the wonderful people, and Kerry, the president here, is just an awesome guy.
Look at all these fans out here, huh? All right, we got to get on our feet, you guys. I'm going to watch with Joe. Here we go.
Got to get on your feet because the field is coming out of 3 and 4 to the restart. A little bit of trouble in those pit box. The 20 of Eric Jones, uncontrolled tire, so he's now at the back of the field. Loses that second position. Kyle Larson still the leader. Is going to start alongside Joey Logano as the field approaches the Geico restart zone.
Green flag, still side to shore, 78 up tight to push.
Larson took the inside. Made the control car. Denny Hamlin took the outside for the first start. Larson's clear, and so is Truex as he goes through, passing Joe Logano off turn 2.
Pretty calm restart right there, everybody. Minding their manners this early in the race. See McMurray, all 4 tires on the flat. Clean something up real quick here. I said that earlier that Buescher was going to be a lap down. He actually got the free pass, not William Byron, so Chris Buescher in the lead lap as well.
Well, he got it because William Byron, what a move. We saw Austin Dillon in the 42 beating him back, and William Byron unlapped himself. Talk about beating him back. Look at these guys, Junior.
Yeah, Denny Hamlin had a hard time getting off of turn 2. Lost a couple spots down the back straightaway. Kurt Busch, Kyle Busch, and now Clint Boyer trying to get by. Fallon Boyer down the front straightaway. Is he going to contest that position? I think he is.
Yeah, he didn't quite get up there far enough. Oh, it's not done fighting, though. What's going to happen here? Somebody going to lift.
Somebody's got to give up here. We saw what happened side by side yesterday to the Xfinity race off 2.
And this is a trend we've seen with Denny Hamlin and his team. We've seen several times this year in practice, they look like the best car the last month, 6 weeks. But when the race starts, they don't have the pace on these long runs. And a lack of long run speed at this racetrack, they'll eat you up.
Denny Hamlin right there, currently in 9th. Chase Elliott in 10th, right behind him in that bright yellow number 9. And that's not Jeff Gordon behind him. That's William Byron in that rainbow paint scheme, the 24, currently in the 11th position. Think about that. Unlaps himself, coming to the green and white checkered, now running in 11th.
Yeah, if he doesn't do that and he takes the lucky dog, he's behind his whole field of cars. Now he's up there competing for position. That's a great feeling.
And how about being a young man coming to your first Southern 500 and driving a Jeff Gordon throwback scheme? That's got to be quite a feeling.
Pressure. That's pressure, man. But that's an opportunity. Pressure's an opportunity, and he's up for the challenge we saw at the start of the race. He was really fast. They did fall off on the long run, and he did almost lose a lap, but they can adjust for that long run. He's got the early run speed in the car.
And we talked about William Byron and that Jeff Gordon throwback scheme, and there it is. The Rainbow Warrior paint scheme. You had something to do with that, didn't you?
That scheme made my career. That was the big break. I got a chance to work with Ray Evernham as his tire guy for Jeff Gordon back in the mid-90s, eventually becoming Jeff's crew chief. I owe my career to Jeff and perhaps that paint scheme. That's a recognizable paint scheme.
That ruined mine.
So, guys, we mentioned William Byron in that move coming to the checkered. We showed you the replay of the 3 and those guys getting together. But look at Ricky Stenhouse and William Byron. Look how close that is. Race back to the line. There's no yellow. That unlapped him. That could change the entire course of his race, Kelly.
Hey, talk about that cool Rainbow Warrior paint scheme on the 24. Well, William Byron's driver suit is equally as cool, and his crew chief Darian Grubb told me he was so excited about it when he first got the fire suit. He put it on an hour early. Just couldn't wait to get into that iconic rainbow paint scheme. William Byron, who of course ran here in the Xfinity Series, was the highest finishing Xfinity Series driver here last year, only finishing to a handful of Cup drivers, so they had a lot of confidence coming here, Marty.
Kelly, a little battle up front between Chase Elliott and Denny Hamlin there as Chase Elliott gets that position. And William Byron better make sure that that guy on the left, Kyle Larson, is on the Christmas card list, because Kyle clearly lifted out of the gas, let a couple guys by him so they could stay on the lead lap. His team asked him, hey, why'd you do that? He said, I was just trying to be a nice guy. Burton, if you only had more nice guys letting you back on the lead lap at Darlington, your life probably would have been a lot better.
Well, that's something we used to see a long time ago. And actually, Dale Jarrett and I were talking about the other day, and I'm like, why did we used to let people back in the lead lap when we come into a caution? And we didn't really know why we did that. But that's something we don't see today, is giving people a break and getting them back in the lead lap. And somebody we need to point out right here, Jamie McMurray is running in 16th. That doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but he's the first car a lap down. But this is how his weekend started. One lap of practice. And when I say he blew up, he blew up. I mean, this thing, look at all the oil and just the debris on the racetrack. They got very limited practice. And even to the point in qualifying, they just practiced. They went on the racetrack and just made practice laps. So to be the first car lap down, I think that's a good achievement, Parker.
No doubt, Jeff. And to add on, that wasn't the only engine they changed this weekend. They had to change another engine before qualifying. They said that one was a little bit more self-inflicted. And then, as you noted, they used qualifying basically as a practice session because they felt like they got no laps. And I asked his crew chief about tonight what would be successful, and he said, just moving forward. If we were to move forward, we consider it a successful night, and that's what they're doing here.
Well, Kyle Larson, 1.4 second lead. We showed you the replay of Byron getting his lap back. We showed the damage of Austin Dillon contact. Well, the car looks really good. How they did it, look at this. Slick pit work right here. Tire Care hangs the tire. 2 good pulls. No time on pit road. Left front fender looks good as new. You're watching Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Darlington Raceway. The 69th running of the Bojangles Southern 500. Kyle Larson continues to lead. He has dominated this race, currently leading 111 laps, has a little over 2-second lead on the field. Doing a nice job, Jeff. I haven't seen him really had a misstep other than a little contact with Austin Dillon. The right side of this car still looks pretty clean.
Yeah, and speaking of a misstep, let's check out the Toyota Camry on-track car. Look at Eric Jones. We mentioned Eric Jones. He was running very well and came on pit road, and check out the left rear uncontrolled tire right there. That's a penalty. So he went from having a solid top 5 to working his way back. Right now he's in 14th, but it's tough sledding passing at this racetrack.
And you know the frustration, that's a behind the wall thing. The tire changer bounced it off pit wall. Someone back there has to catch that tire, help the guy out. Dave Burns.
It's interesting now, Steve, the conversation on the radio for Eric Jones has changed. The first stage, it was really between himself and crew chief Chris Gale, back and forth about what the car was doing and what the gap was to the leaders he was catching. Now it's a lot of Rick Corelli. Rick Corelli is a driver who became a spotter, worked with a lot of veterans, but this year working with a young driver in Eric Jones. He's had so much impact on Jones that this paint scheme is a throwback to Corelli's driving days in the Camping World Truck Series. But the conversation clearly now all about the veteran Corelli trying to guide Jones back into the Southern 500.
Well, you mentioned that throwback to the spotter, Rick Corelli. Well, there it is. The old Remax truck from 96 to 99. That's a pretty good recreation of that scheme. I like that. That looks pretty good. 4 truck wins for Corelli.
I think it's good for a young driver to have a former driver as a spotter. He's also a very experienced driver, so it's not like he just jumped out of the car and went to the spotter stand this year. He's been in the spotter stands for a long time, and at this racetrack, Steve, there's still 241 laps to go. I mean, we're not even close to halfway, and keeping him calm is huge. Young driver, running well. Now he's got to work himself back, and there's plenty of time. Do not make a second mistake trying to overcome the first.
We talk about the length of this race. Oh! Oh, the 23, some hard contact on the inside wall.
Joey
Heavy
Gase.
damage.
Yeah, Joey Gase.
We're done.
Wow.
The throwback scheme to Bob Gase's 2003 modified. Kind of has a little modified look, unfortunately, right now. You can see more front tire than you want to. That was a pretty heavy contact. And other than the end of stage 1, this is the first yellow we've seen for an accident or any sort of incident.
And we just talked about mistakes at Darlington and what it can mean. You see Kyle Busch actually gets into the left rear. Don't know if Kyle just misjudged it. Joey wasn't going as quick as Kyle thought he was going and made contact and just sent him into the inside wall.
Watch this. And this is another thing about Darlington. When you spin here, you're going to hit something. There's walls inside, outside. We see other tracks with a little runoff room. That's not the case here.
We've talked about at Bristol, and this racetrack is the same way. The closing rate is so fast between a slower car and a faster car. You really have to be careful and judge it right, and not things like this happen. And we're going to see lap traffic play a role in tonight's race.
Mentioned lap traffic, and we talked about it earlier. This track just doesn't have a lot of room. This is Kyle Busch again, inside the 99 of Derek Cope, the 88 of Bowman trying to work on the outside here. It's Jimmy Johnson and the 12 of Ryan Blaney.
And Derek Cope's not doing anything wrong. He's running the line he needs to run, and here it is again. Derek's trying to, drove in the corner. Now he's trying to get out of the way of Kyle. And then this one just a battle right here. This wasn't lap traffic so much. This was just trying to stay on the lead lap. Parker.
Guys, Martin Truex Jr. pits out of second place. He's been asking for the rear tires to stay with him longer off of turns 2 and 4. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco fuel on the 78.
Not a day for Kyle Larson, letting 118 laps to this point. He said, if I push it hard in 1 and 2, I'm too free through there. So that's why they're making that wedge adjustment you saw them make just a moment ago. He said, I want to be more aggressive with the gas. Still more in that 42 car. For Joey Logano further down pit road, you saw a wedge adjustment there, too free for him. Also, seems like the track has gone through a swing here and also a swing on pit road. Martin Truex Jr. wins the race off pit road this time.
Yeah, Truex got the lead. Larson lost one. How about Harvick, that new pit crew? They picked up 1. Boyer picked up 2. Elliott picked up 3.
Well, we haven't heard Dale Jr. over here for a little while. Jeff, why is that? Because he left us. He went next door. Coming up after the break, Dale Jr., Dale Jarrett, Kyle Petty. Jeff, you want to take your fandom to the next level? Get the latest t-shirts, twill jackets, hats, and die-casts. Visit NASCAR.com/shop.
Did you say to the next level? Because I have a feeling that between a Petty, a Jarrett, and an Earnhardt, there was a few souvenirs sold in their time. Let's go listen to them for a little bit.
Yeah, here we are, man. Finally. I've been waiting.
How about it?
Yes. I've been waiting on this all week. The opportunity to be in the booth with you, Kyle Petty, Dale Jarrett. You guys are awesome. I've been over there with Letarte for a while. It's been hard to get a word in with that guy.
Yeah, we were sitting down there thinking. We thought maybe it was because we were down there and couldn't really hear good.
Yeah, we thought it was because we were on pit. I don't know how you drove a car with him on the other side end of the headset all that time, man. You are the man. You just took it up a notch in my level.
I've been able to work with you a little bit in some practices. Never worked with Kyle before. This is going to be exciting for me, but we're having a pretty good race. We got some guys down there that have had some pretty tough luck so far. Kyle Busch just spent a long time on pit road making a lot of repairs to his car. The HMS guys have struggled on pit road as well with issues. But Kyle Larson, he has not struggled. He's been fast all night.
Been pretty amazing to watch him navigate. I mean, and be able to be so good to get a big lead that when he gets in a bad position, most of the time, except with that little run-in with Austin Dillon there, that he's been able just to back off and not have any pressure from behind him.
Watching Kyle Larson this first part of the race, and we talked about it earlier, has been like putting on a clinic on where to catch traffic, where not to catch traffic, how to adjust yourself. Now, having said that, when you got a 9-second lead, you can give up a half second here and there. You know what I mean?
That's right. Behind him, we have Martin Truex Jr., who's been steady all night, as well as Joe Logano. He's had a pretty good night as well. Harvick has drove from 22nd all the way into the top 5. We expected that to happen at some point, maybe not quite as quick. Chase Elliott also very strong.
Yeah, how about Eric Jones all night?
Yes.
They had that problem on pit road they were just talking about. But that's a car that and a driver wants the rest of the night. Can he keep himself calm enough coming up through this traffic still. He's back up now to where he doesn't have to deal with the lap cars or anything, and he can kind of race the guys that he's been doing that with. But he's really, really strong. See all the Gibbs cars running well.
Let's take a look. I talked about the 18 car with the trouble on pit road, or the work on pit road. Here's why. Got into Joey Gase coming off turn 4. This damaged the right front corner of that 18 car.
Yeah, you don't expect a mistake like that from somebody like Kyle Busch of his caliber, but when you start losing that nose of the car, sometimes jumping out of the throttle makes it moving even more. So let's hear what he's got to say about it.
I can't get closer than 5 car lengths to the car in front of me. It's so aero sensitive. It's horrible. Yeah, gonna have to pop the right front fender out in front of there's no rub. It just pushed in front of the tire.
He's talking about his car being aero sensitive, just dirty air. Having a hard time tonight with traffic. Hopefully they can make adjustments and improve that for him. Coming up on the restart. There you see the Geico restart zone. Those guys will get going here. Larson's a control car. Larson struggles though.
Yeah.
Wonder how NASCAR will look at that. Larson really struggling through the front straightaway, through the gears, losing a couple spots.
Now we see Truex out front for the first time. It'll be interesting to see with all the clean air that he's got, how good is this car? And as we've gotten into the nighttime now, the racetrack's cooled down, so we see Harvick and Truex coming to the front.
And that's what I was going to say. Right there behind them is Kevin Harvick. And you guys touched on it the first part of the race. Runs in the middle of the racetrack to the low side. Is not up there chancing it next to the wall. Is just driving pretty conservative. Here we are in the second segment of the race, and he's worked his way into second position.
He's right on that 78. I mean, I know it doesn't look like much, but he's tailing that 78, closing hard in 3 and 4. Truex with a little bit of later apex. On the right, see a good battle here between Newman trying to get around Hamlin. Jones, you talked about him having to work his way back from that penalty.
Yeah, he's right there, and he was able to make some passes before that last caution. So his car is still plenty good. He did a nice job of staying calm throughout that. Need to see if he can get around Ryan Newman, who's one of the toughest competitors on the racetrack to pass.
Not one of the toughest, the toughest. But, you know, and we've touched on it a couple of times tonight. You know, we saw the 20 car of Eric Jones. We saw the 24 of William Byron. They just took off. Like, this was a brand new track, that it wasn't going to tear their tires up, that they were going to be okay. And you know what? In the end, they both were pretty good. They drove to where they felt like their car would be, and here we see Eric Jones coming back through the pack again.
Yeah, I think he's got one of the best cars here, obviously, with the speed he had in the first stage. Takes time. You talk about long races. I mean, 500-milers. This one seems longer than most 500-mile races.
God. Yeah.
God, it takes forever to get a lap completed here. The pace drops off so much.
This is one of those racetracks when you drove. You drove and you drove and you drove and you pitted and you drove some more, and then you looked at the scoreboard and it said almost halfway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you felt like, oh my gosh.
That's exactly right. During the cautions later in the race, you'd almost have to talk yourself into not looking at the scoreboard because you were going to be disappointed.
Yes.
Yeah, and you just have to work so hard through the corners. I mean, you never get a break. When you have fresh tires, you got to make as much time as you can without abusing them. And then as the tires get more laps, with each corner, it just becomes more of a battle. And so you're constantly working. You just never get a break.
What amazes me about the Cup cars is watching Kevin Harvick right there, how smooth he is on the wheel on good tires. You'd like to show that 5 or 10 laps into a run, and then let's show him 5 or 10 laps before he pits and how much he's up on the wheel.
Jamie Murray trying to come back through the field here. You got the wave around, the lucky dog up in 16th, trying to get through the traffic here. It's tough. You got to be patient.
Yeah, that might be the first good thing that's happened to Jamie this weekend.
Right.
It started out wrong with an engine issue and didn't get the qualifying that they wanted, so getting some good things going, but got a lot of traffic ahead.
He's had a tough year, much less this weekend, so this is a great opportunity for him if he can put it together tonight and to get a decent finish this team can build on. This lap traffic, though, ain't going to move over. There's nowhere to go. I mean, this track's so narrow.
It's so narrow, and especially coming out, too. It's fascinating to me to listen to the in-car and to watch the car. When you see they're almost on the straightaway, it seems like sometimes out of 2 before they ever go fully back to the throttle.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, if you go to full throttle too soon, you're just going to spin the tires And sometimes you're a little more delicate and purposely not going to full throttle to save the tires.
Jamie Murray using all of the racetrack there. When you've got a good enough car and you can get down on the bottom like we see Jamie here, there's a lot of different options that you have. You get a good run on the exit of the corner. Now, 3 wide going down into turn 1, I'm not sure is a position you want to put yourself in. If I'm going to be in that position, I want to be down where I can use the apron, but you can see he lost both spots.
Yeah, you see how much he lost there because he was not, and we talk about the apron is that first 4 or 5 foot of it.
Just like that, man. Kevin Harvick has run down the leader. Truex was pulling away, but Harvick altering his line, moving around. Truex dealing with lap traffic right here, the 51 car. McLeod gets out of these guys' way. Now look at Truex. He's actually altered his line, trying to move down, get in front of Harvick, make it tougher for Harvick, create dirty air on the front of that 4 car. We saw Truex was up against the wall in 1 and 2, but now he's trying to move and mimic the line that Harvick's running to defend this position. He doesn't want to give up the lead. You can't let Kevin Harvick take the lead. No. Even as long as this race is, that's it.
Yeah, no. you don't want to put him in that position. It's so interesting to watch Kevin Harvick go about his business at so many tracks. Think about how many times he's driving a different line at these racetracks.
Yeah.
A place like Phoenix where he just dominates a lot of time. And here to watch him do something completely different and be able to go up and challenge Truex right now for the lead, he's going to get the spot.
Yeah. He is on the
Oh, I'm not so sure. Truex is trying to stay out there. If Truex can stay out there, it's going to be hard for him to get the power down. You see him fighting to get the power down there.
And it's so hard because the racetrack, you're on the apron, it's flat, it gets out from under you. But I want you to watch the 4 car of Kevin Harvick. He seems to get in the middle of the gas, drive it through the middle of the corner, and then diamonds it right here and comes back across the flat.
He's running so much.
Totally different.
Yeah, he's so much lower than Truex did.
So different. So he almost like, that's old school. When you used to come down here and watch some of the old guys on the bisplat, they would almost drive it over and diamond the car across of turn 2 over there, which used to be turn 4. Parker?
Guys, Martin Truex's team has been letting him know the different line that Kevin Harvick is running, but he just came across radio and said, I cannot do that line, I know, but I cannot do it. I can't run that low. He really wants to, he just can't get the car to work down there.
Yeah, you saw him try to do it, Parker, for 1 lap. Now he gets bottled up on the inside of a lap car. The 66 car. Timmy Hill. In that Darrell Waltrip throwback. Truex, though, man. Boy, watch this. I love this. I don't want him to let him go.
No. And listen to it. It's, He's trying
race,
and
man.
he wants it so bad.
This is great for the fans. Great for us in the booth.
And he's making Harvick use up tires that Harvick doesn't want to by trying to keep going there. And eventually, as a driver, if you're Harvick, you try to let the car roll a little bit more. But it looks like we got Clint Bowyer on pit road, Marty.
Yeah, fun battle on the lead for the right between Martin Truex Jr. and Clint Bowyer. I'm sorry, Martin Truex Jr. and Kevin Harvick. On the left side of the screen, Clint Bowyer coming down pit road with what he believes is a loose wheel. They were in 6th when he reported to the team, tried to stuff it out or muscle it out for 3 laps, but it is a loose wheel for Clint Bowyer.
Man, we've seen it tonight.
Yeah.
These guys either flat tires, loose wheels. It's costly. But again, it's a long race. Look at this. Derek Cope making things challenging for Truex. Harvick thought about going to the top there.
Yeah, he thought it just a split second.
Dave.
You guys are talking about the lines that Kevin Harvick runs as he tries to find a way around Martin Truex Jr. Rodney Childers loves to watch him run practice here because he tries all that stuff out. I said, give me an example. He said, we did one run that was 27 laps long, and I swear to you, he never ran the same lap, the same line twice. He said he stores all that information away for the race in addition to his race preparation, but on race weekend, he's practicing every single line here at Darlington.
Yeah, we watch this battle now, and you talk about the lap traffic and the difference that it can make. As this race winds down and gets into the latter stages, the lap traffic could determine who wins this race because everybody's going to be a lot more tired. It's hard to hold your head up and going through these corners and know exactly where everybody's at. So really paying attention and looking far ahead, making the right decisions.
And that's a great point. Looking far ahead, as we saw out the front of the 4 car of Kevin Harvick, there's nobody in front of them for about a straightaway. It didn't appear to be. This is where Kevin has to put himself in position to be able to clear him if he's going to clear him without traffic. Now, Kevin's smart enough that he'll use traffic as a pick at some point in time. We saw it yesterday. It didn't work out for him, but we saw him use a lap car in traffic yesterday as a pick on Ross Chastain.
Funny thing about all this, though, Larson was so good in that first stage. I thought this kind of battle and lap traffic would allow him to close. He's not been able to close. He's actually been a tick slower, maybe a half a tenth to a tenth slower every lap than these guys, even with these guys battling like that.
You have to wonder, is part of it the damage that he suffered? Is that hurting the handling of his car? Or has the changeover into the night and more rubber on the racetrack created a situation that's now better for Truex and Harvick versus the Larson setup?
Right there you see, battle for fifth. Keselowski takes the position from Chase Elliott. Parker.
You guys just hit the nail on the head with Chase Elliott. The nighttime, the racetrack's coming to him. If you've noticed, he was running mostly about 10th the first portion of this race, and now he's starting to creep in to just outside the top 5, battling for 5th there with Keselowski. And the track just coming to him. He's been a little tight at times, but as the nighttime has wore on, they've made changes on that car, and as I said, it's just coming to him right now. And that's a good place to be, knowing that this race is mostly going to be run more so in the night as we go forward. Behind him is Kurt Busch in that 41 car, and you look at that paint scheme. That's a pretty familiar paint scheme at this place because he was a part of that finish against Ricky Craven in 2003 where they banged doors to the start-finish line. He finished second, but a cool story about his crew chief, Billy Scott. He actually said that he was listening to the radio and remembers that race so well because it was the week before he moved to North Carolina to pursue a career in racing.
You still got a battle for the lead here, and you're not going to miss a lap of it as we go nonstop. Get NASCAR coverage when you're on the go with NASCAR Mobile. The official app of NASCAR puts race coverage and live in-car cameras at your fingertips. Try out the premium features including live driver audio, enhanced telemetry, and an ad-free experience by signing up for a 7-day free trial. Search NASCAR in the App Store or visit NASCAR.com/mobile. All right, man, we didn't miss any of it because we were nonstop. And look who is all over the 78. Kyle Larson. Was he back there riding and saving? He just came to life.
Yeah, good time to save, and he's going to take the lead right now. Like these fans stand up.
So easy.
Yes. Yeah, he did.
Man, I wonder if he was sitting back there just watching these guys.
Watching these two guys go at each other, run side by side, and you know how it is when you're side by side. You're using a little bit more. Kevin's using a little bit more. Truex is using a little bit more tire than what they want to. He's just reeling them in when it came time and drove by Kevin like Kevin was sitting still.
Martin Truex been on the radio complaining a little bit about lap traffic. That certainly allowed Larson to close in on him, but Larson drove right by. Marty.
Hey, Junior, I'll say just listening to Kyle Larson's radio all night long, the one word I would use is patience. You know, Kyle Larson's knock his entire career is that he would get up to the wall, he would eventually hit the wall, and you wouldn't have to worry about him at the end of the race. But he has been very careful around lap cars, very patient with the car, taking care of it early in runs. So Kyle Larson maturing before our eyes, kind of waiting back there in the weeds, now past both of them for the lead.
And that's a good point. I think Kyle Larson had a little bit of an attitude adjustment on the off week. If you read some of his quotes, he said they went to Richmond and tested. They found some stuff. He apologized to the crew for getting so irate on the radio up at Bristol, but he said, that's a place I expect to run well. You can't take, I'm sorry, it's just my passion. You can't take that.
Yeah, Marty. I don't think that you can. I don't think there's any reason to apologize for that. Yeah. Sometimes you just get upset because he expects that to happen.
Yes.
You know, and every driver wants to run better. Joey Logano being one of those, Marty.
Yeah, DJ having a nice run in fourth, but they had a problem on the last stop. Listen to the conversation between Todd Gordon and Joey Logano.
You're going to need track far down because I went the wrong way. Dylan did and I did.
So how many times have you drivers had the team go the wrong way on an adjustment, but you know the advantage Joey has? He has that track bar adjuster inside the car, so he went way up on the track bar. Actually, Joey coming now to pit road, so we're going to start to see all these guys come to pit road pitting a little bit earlier, and when you get those fresh tires on, guys, that makes all the difference, doesn't it, here at Darlington. Joey Logano coming down pit road. The car has been too free this entire run, so they're going to fix that track, or fix the wedge adjustment that happened last time. They're also going to take on 4 fresh Goodyear tires and see if pitting a little bit early here with 37 to go in this second stage is going to help this 22 car or not. But you're going to see them undo that big adjustment here on this stop as well, guys.
Yeah, it should draw a lot of guys down pit road making this stop. When anytime you see the leaders come down pit road, you wondered if any of our crew chiefs ever went the wrong way. I know Steve Letarte always made the best adjustment for me.
Yeah, he just never told you when he went the wrong way, did he?
That's good.
But that is interesting because you can make adjustments from the seat now.
Yeah.
When I drove and Dale drove, we couldn't make adjustments from the seat. So that's a different game for these guys.
Yeah, when we heard that news, we were looking at his lap times, and they were actually really good. He did a great job of making that adjustment. His crew chief did a good job being honest, allowing him to make that change inside the car. We'll see if that starts to bring the rest of the field down pit road. Larson still out front.
Yep.
About a second and a half, second three-quarter lead.
Over Harvick. Harvick has moved around Truex, obviously, and it is absolutely amazing. And they talk about the speed, you know, and you guys have documented it well, running up against that cushion of air. But this is a slower place. Bristol's a slow place too, and Larson gets it done up against the wall at Bristol.
Yeah.
He just seems to know where that line is at most places.
Kelly.
And Keselowski felt like his teammate Joey Logano in the 22 came to pit road a little bit too early, so they left him out for just a couple more laps. Brad's been looking for a little more bite in the car. Now he said it's gotten just a little bit free, although he said he was really pushing it there. Those last laps were some of the fastest in the field, Dave.
Kyle Busch says his car feels just like it did in happy hour. That's not a good thing. The car was very tight, and with that damage on the front end of the right front fender, they've been trying to get that sort of out of his mind, Parker.
Ryan Blaney pits a lap down here. Not been the night they were looking for. Really struggled the front end of that race car. 4 Goodyear tires, Sunoco field. Also pitting out of the top 5 is Kurt Busch. Right now the front is tight on that race car and just lacking right rear grip on the exit. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for that awesome looking car, Dave.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr., a very good run after qualifying 25th. Brian Patty told me we are not a 25th place car. We just mistimed some things in qualifying. So he's worked his way up to just near the lucky dog position, and a car that's been handling better and better as the night goes on. 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel, Parker.
Martin Truex pits out of 3rd place there. Right now it's going to be 4 tires and fuel and an air pressure adjustment. He's been struggling still with the front end and keeping rear end grip at the same time. Looks like it might be a little bit of a slow stop there on the right side. Obviously adding Sunoco fuel. Not a fast stop for them, guys.
Larson still on a racetrack. Harvick still on a racetrack. One guy that has to come to pit road, Joey Logano. We saw that. And he's making a lot of time on these guys. He was only 2.9 seconds behind the leader when he pitted.
Yeah.
Once this cycle's over with, some of these guys actually were here and they stretch it to the very end.
That'll be interesting.
That will be interesting. That will be interesting to see that play out, to which guys employ that strategy.
Uh-oh.
78 car. Yeah, 78 car's got an uncontrolled tire back on pit road.
A little tight on this run, the 20 car of Eric Jones, but it's been very, very good. He picked up 6 spots before everyone started pitting. They'll get 4 tires and no adjustments on the 20.
Eric Jones, man, he's been so fast. I think best car here tonight right now. Talk about the 78 car having issues. He just came down pit road and served that pass-through penalty for an uncontrolled tire.
You know, there's a lot of pit stops throughout this night. We talk about what an important role the crews play every single weekend, but you just can't, with a place that's this difficult, you can't put yourself in a hole. So even if you have to take just a little bit longer to make sure that you're not putting your driver in a difficult position by making that mistake on pit road.
And we saw that earlier in the race with Eric Jones, who took his time coming to pit road and did not lose any laps, did not lose anything. And we saw Jimmy Johnson run over the commitment cone and have to serve that penalty. You can't give up. Against a guy like Kyle Larson tonight and the pace that he's laying down, you can't make a mistake. On the racetrack, you can't make a mistake on pit road.
Well, we don't have a crew chief over here, so I want to know about this penalty on the 78. I'm passing it over to Steve in booth 8. What's going on, Steve?
Well, Dale, this uncontrolled tire question mark, we see a bunch. It's hard to define, but basically a pit crew member has to be within an arm's reach of a tire. That's what they consider controlled. The right front tire goes on. Look at the tire he took off. It's sitting there. So as this tire changer leaves right here, it leaves that tire. If you freeze it right there, no one is managing that tire. The jack man's at the jack. The tire changer's left. You know he's messed up. He looks back. The carrier rolls it around. I know it is only for a second, but that's the definition of uncontrolled, outside of an arm's length from a pit crew member.
That's a tough penalty right
That's
there.
tough
I mean,
right there,
it was
man.
still in the box and
Yes.
everything. But, you know, the rules are the rules, and
Yes.
everybody knows that.
That guy feels awful.
Yeah.
I know that. I mean, that's on one man there. Marty.
Hey guys, 26 to go here in this stage, and they just told Kyle Larson a moment ago, we're planning to run to the end of the stage. Now, they pitted with about 70 to go here in the stage, so you in theory could make it on fuel, but this is a big gamble by the 42. But remember, Kelly, they came into this race with 0 playoff points. They've already gotten 1 tonight, and they would love to get 2.
Yeah, the 24 of William Byron also trying to stretch this to the stage, and for the rookie, he is in a must-win situation now with just 2 races to go ahead of the playoffs. His crew chief, Darian Grubb, known for some aggressive calls. He said William Byron is excellent at tire management. He learned a hard lesson at Atlanta earlier this year on his first stint, realized just how much these tires can get eaten up in the Cup Series. So William Byron still 25 laps to go to the stage end.
I can't believe Larson's going to stay out. It'll be interesting to see how this works out. It's going to reshuffle the entire field. More to come. We'll find out when we return. Next Sunday on NBCSN, the Monster Energy Cup Series hits the Brickyard for the regular season finale. Race coverage from Indianapolis Motor Speedway begins at 2 p.m. Eastern. Somebody's going to kiss the bricks next week. I know who started that tradition.
Yeah, who started it?
Yeah. Yeah.
What made you think of that?
Yeah.
Todd Parrott and I were sitting around. We were probably a little too full of ourselves in 1996, having some success and things. And I battled my teammate here, Ernie Irvin, and he slid up a little bit in turn 1, and we were able to take the checkered flag, enjoy in victory lane. And then Todd reminded me, he said, we're going to do something different. We sat around and talked about what was different, and so that's what we came up with. And it's really cool to see everybody take on that now, from the IndyCar guys to everything.
That's what I think's got to feel the best, is that you've started something that everyone now dreams of doing. Yep. It's been so much fun up here with you guys. Really enjoyed it. Man? Yeah, I've enjoyed it.
It's been fun with you.
Yeah.
Hey, what's cool is to race against you, to race against Dale, to race against your dad, and Dale race against my dad, and everybody race against each other. And then here we are, 3 punks up here in the booth talking on NBC.
They let us talk
about those guys racing out there. Life doesn't get much better than that, man.
I don't know about what they're doing here with the 42 of Kyle Larson, of leaving him out here. I think the hardest thing in the world is when you're out there for a few laps and everybody has changed tires, trying to stay out of the way. You're losing even more time.
Yeah, it's got to be a difficult situation for him. He's in defense mode, just trying to get to the end here. You see him, though. He's Eric Jones, Kurt Busch, those guys just got around him, get their laps back, or Chase Elliott and Kurt Busch. Eric Jones is next. These guys are going to run him down easily with 16 laps to go.
You know, and when Marty Snyder said it was a little bit of a gamble, he meant it was a gamble because of Martin Truex last year.
Yeah.
Blowing the right front after 60-some laps, or 63, 64 laps. There was 70-some laps to go in this segment. So, but at the same time, through the headset with the great Steve Letarte over here, talking about an extra set of tires, these guys not taking the wave around on a lot of tires. He's going to end up having only 12, 13, 14 cars back in the lead lap. So he's going to eliminate a few guys and put them a lap down. So it is a gamble as far as that. But if his guys are saying, back it off a little bit, let's lay off that right front a little bit, then it'll be a little bit better.
Here's what we're talking about with Martin Truex Jr. last year. Toward the end of this race, he's running hard. He's got 70 laps to go, trying to win the race. Blows the right front tire, 60 laps into his tire run. He's not chilling. I mean, he's not, it's early in the race for Kyle Larson, so he can back it down a little bit. That caused Truex to win. Denny Hamlin goes on to finish the race and win.
I just have to wonder, how much is another set of tires worth, because you're with everybody else, and the cars that you may be keeping a lap down, they're not of your concern anyway. So I just don't know if you want to put, if Kyle Larson came to pit road, he would drag a lot of those guys with him.
Exactly. And if Kyle Larson was out there trying to keep Kevin Harvick a lap down, and some of those guys, and Joey Logano, guys like that a lap down, guys that are going to be a threat and raise their head late in the race and come back on him, that's one thing. But keeping some of those guys back that are already 15th and 16th, I hate to say it, but they've been running 15th or 16th.
Yeah, they're staying out here because they want to save that extra set of tires. We had so much green flag runs. We've not used a lot of tires, so I don't know if this will be such an advantage that they're hoping for. And there you see Kyle Busch get his lap back in 14th position. 13 laps to go. behind Kyle Busch, Clint Boyer, Eric Almirola, Martin Truex Jr. Those guys all will be next if they can catch this man leading.
Yeah, I'm not sure Boyer will get there. You know, remember, he had to come in for a vibration, so he's got a lot of laps on his tires. He's not running too much faster, but we'll see if he's able to pick it up a notch and get there and get himself situated back on that lead lap.
He's trying.
Yeah, the trick one, the one that we need to watch is Truex, who is, if he can come to the front of the one lap down cars and get the wave around, or get the lucky dog, that's where he's got to put himself in position, because remember, he's serving a penalty for an uncontrolled tire.
He actually just got one of his laps back, so he's got a really long way to go.
Yeah.
I don't know that he has enough laps, too much racetrack.
Yeah, and what he's hoping are these other guys that Boyer and Almirola can go up there and get their laps back, get on the lead lap, and he'll be fine.
I think he's moving. He's really close to Almirola right now.
Parker, we got.
Well, he just lost a couple positions there, guys, but I wanted to point out Chris Buescher, who's just running in 5th. And, you know, each week on NASCAR America on Tuesdays, we do a segment called Running with a Pack. And we point out some other winners in the field. And a lot of times, I've chosen Chris Buescher. That's because he finishes in the top 25, maybe a top 20. But tonight, he has run just outside the top 10. And as I just said, was all the way up to 5th on this run. They're going to extend this run as long as they can, just like Larson, to try and finish it out in the top 10 and get some stage points. But the craziest part is, whenever I talk to this team, they tell me their goal each week is just to stay on the lead lap by stage 3. And tonight they are doing that and more. What an awesome run by Chris Buescher.
Yeah, and you go back to Bristol and think how good a run he had going there inside the top 5 late in that race before kind of getting sandwiched between a couple of cars and had a tire to go down. So they're starting to put this program together for a really good race driver.
And we talked about this earlier this week on NASCAR America, how this track, like the short tracks, we talk about it being an equalizer. When the racetrack gets slick, when the power, you can't use everything you've got. When it goes back into a driver's hands, it equalizes. And some of the teams that are maybe a little underfunded or don't run up front usually can get good, solid finishes here and look back at Darlington and say, yeah, that's a place we're going to circle for next year, too.
Talk about how tough this race is. Ricky Stenhouse here running along. This is a long run for all these guys. We've been going green for quite a while now. Go to the in car here, see what they're doing. You talk about, hey man, we're going to see what these guys are doing with the race cars on the long run. Watch his hands down the front straightaway under the flag stand. Got the leader right there in front of him, trying to get one of his laps back. This will put him 1 lap down. Watch his hands through turn 2 here.
Working close to the throttle. Yeah.
That's the deal. It always fascinates me how you drive with the throttle and with the steering wheel in conjunction with each other. But I'm going to tell you something. This John Deere, I love this paint scheme.
Yeah.
I love John Deere green anyhow. I love that song. Love everything about John Deere green. But it was cool when Chad Little run it. And Chad works for NASCAR now. So maybe that's why they didn't give Chad a shout out in the driver's meet.
Yeah. It was
like he was talking about earlier, because he's already working for NASCAR.
Yes, car looks great. Ricky's working hard. I mean, you know, we talk about how hard this place is for the guys that are running up front. When you've got a car that doesn't handle good, wow, you think, could this place get any more difficult?
Just passed Austin Dillon. We just said he just passed Kyle Larson, so Austin Dillon, who's actually trying to stay on the lead lap, could go a lap down here. That hurts Clint Boyer, who the 4 car actually is lifted. Not sure if he's got an issue.
Yeah. He's just...
He may be thinking that they might have to, you know, save more fuel.
Yeah.
So he hasn't said anything, guys, except a couple laps ago he said, my car is junk, done. That was when he was getting passed by Newman, but nothing about a problem at this point.
As we look over here, Clint Boyer gets his lap back, which in turn puts Truex in the lucky dog position.
Yep.
That's right. As long as Austin Dillon can stay in front of the leader, who he's coming back to. You see Austin there, William Byron as well. Both those guys are falling back to the clutches of Kyle Larson.
This is like watching the end of a regular race when everybody's running out of gas and you're trying to figure out what lap they're gonna run out on and where they're gonna be, because basically they're just trying to make it to the end of this segment and get in and get their tires.
Yeah, and we saw Austin Dillon earlier tonight at the end of the first segment. I'm sure that Kyle Larson's going to be a little more careful this time because he saw how hard Austin Dillon raced him trying to stay on the lead lap. William Byron was in a part of that too and was able to get his lap back right at the end on the last lap of that. So I don't think I don't think he's going to push the issue here. There's no reason to right now.
It's deja vu all over again, man.
Right.
That's it.
3 laps to go. Austin Dillon.
3 laps to go, and Austin's back in about the same position he was before.
Yeah. And that's the way it is. You'll find yourself in races like this continuously trying to fight to stay on that lead lap till you can improve the car.
You can see Larson's car kind of step out as he went back to the throttle, but he's got enough. It looks like Austin's not going to give up here.
No, Austin did not give that position up.
He isn't. His car was weaving down the straightaway trying to get traction with the rear tires down the straightaway.
This is going to help him.
That's how bad his forward drive is. Look at him.
Wow.
His forward drive's so bad right now.
And
look at him. You see him on the straightaway spinning the tires?
And this is what makes stage racing so exciting for me, is this lap matters. This lap matters in this race because it matters to Austin Dillon. It's a source of pride for the 42 car of Kyle Larson because he's already been into it one time with him. He's got one more lap to go on this thing.
All of these cars are helping Austin Dillon right there, putting some distance.
That's a big help right there, man.
I think Kyle Larson just said, you know what, I'm just going to chill.
Yeah.
I'm going to back off here for a second.
I've already had to beat my fender out once. I don't want to do it again.
I got a chance at a stage point, another stage win.
You know what? But great job by Austin Dillon getting up on the wheel, looking in that mirror. The spotters telling him what to do and where to go. Great job by that team.
Yeah, it's not gonna get into a win situation tonight for them, but it could be a good point and an opportunity to stay on the lead lap and see what they can get.
Oh, this is. I wonder.
Come on. Give
Kyle
it to
Larson wins a stage. He puts Austin Dillon on a lap down. I wonder if somebody got in his ear and said, you need to lap the 3 car.
Wow. And mainly because it keeps Truex back there.
That's exactly.
Hey guys, he just came on the radio, said I needed to lap the 3 car for what happened earlier. So there you go.
Yeah, pride, sense of pride. Sense of pride, that's what I said, man.
Let's take a look, man. I didn't think he was going to try to do that, but he went for it. He saw an opportunity.
And this is like we talk about. Right here, he caught guys in the right place at the right time. Austin had to mess with the 96 car, Jeffrey Earnhardt. They almost get together up there. They both have to check up a little bit, and that's how much it is.
Wow.
That keeps Martin Truex a lap down.
That's crazy, man. Well, guys, this was a lot of fun.
Oh, it's a blast.
Something I'll never forget. I hope
that it was fun, man.
I hope that
Let's take a selfie.
I hope we get to do it again. But don't forget, you guys aren't done yet, man. After the checker flag, you guys are going to be on the NASCAR American Post Race Show presented by Honda Power Sports. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got a great show, man. We got a lot more racing to go, though.
Yep.
I'm going back to A booth. Well, Tart, Burton, y'all ready? I'm coming to the booth.
The end of stage 2 complete. You see Kyle Larson coming down pit road. The leaders are coming to get service and 4 fresh Goodyear tires. Kyle Larson's going to definitely want those fresh tires after going nearly 70 laps on the last set. Kelly?
Brad Keselowski will be happy to take them too. He comes to pit road from the 2nd position. He said he was just a little bit free everywhere. They're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment to help him out. 4 tires and fuel, Marty.
By saving that extra set, Kyle Larson's team will have 9 sets of tires to play with here in the final stage of the Southern 500. He's led 162 laps. He said he's too tight on entry early. Then I'm good for a long time and a little bit too free at the end of the run. How big are tires here at Darlington? Joey Logano was a lap down and drove up to 3rd with those fresh tires. You see Kyle Larson wins the race off pit road.
Yeah, maintains that lead. Pit crew doing a nice job keeping that track position that Kyle Larson has earned. Joey Logano, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski will make up the top 4. Keselowski lost just a couple spots. We still got a long ways to go in this one, guys. 164 laps to go right now. So let's take a minute and check in. It's time now for the Toyota Social Spotlight. We'll go down to the pit box and Rick Allen.
Hey, Steve, I've been enjoying this weekend because the paint schemes are incredible. And on Friday, Toyota Racing said, hey, we want to know what paint scheme you think is the best. So they said, go ahead and use social media and send us what you think are the best throwback paint schemes. And so right away, somebody thought, well, it's, of course, Denny Hamlin because he threw back to himself when he started out first driving for Joe Gibbs Racing. But then, of course, you've got the Skittles throwback, Ernie Irvan, and the 18 of Kyle Busch, another one there. But in the end, I think Denny Hamlin ended up winning because more and more people said the 11 car was the one that they loved the best. Denny Hamlin throwing back to himself when he first started out, his old late models. We also had one, Cole Pern. They thought, throw it back to my win earlier this year. Not a big throwback, but a pretty good one.
Stage 2 now complete here at Darlington. I can tell you that the entire Hendrick organization is racing with the Hendrick family in their hearts here tonight. Rick Hendrick's niece, Alicia Hendrick Gainey, passed away at the age of 38 last week following some heart complications. A memorial service was held for her a couple days ago, and all 4 Hendrick cars now have this special decal to honor her memory. But certainly a family who has dealt with so much tragedy, facing yet another loss tonight, and our thoughts are with the Hendrick family as well.
Yeah, it's such a sad story. Kelly mentioned it. It was Rick's niece, and actually Rick drove that pace car at the beginning of the day. That Camaro, you talked about it. Hendrick.
That Camaro is going to be auctioned off at Barry Jackson later in January for the Nationwide Children's Hospital.
Yeah, they built that thing ground up at Hendrick Performance, a 1969 Camaro. It's going to be interesting to see what it brings for a great cause.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Well, we talk about how long this race is, guys. But now we're finally into the final stage. 161 laps to go, 160 when they take the green. We've seen Kyle Larson have a dominant car. He's led 165 laps tonight. The closest car to him is Martin Truex Jr., who's led 30, and he's currently a lap down. So we're going to see, can Kyle Larson continue to control this race through the final stage?
Pretty good restart by Larson. He's going to clear Joey pretty easily. Fights for second. And everyone else for that matter. Joey's going to hang on that quarter panel here. But the 9 just too strong. Chase Elliott into second place.
And chasing that, driving that bright yellow number 9.
Yeah, he's driving it on up there to Larson. Larson's going to get a good exit here off the 4, though.
Remember a few runs ago, Kyle Larson didn't look like he had a lot of speed, and then later in the run, he came flying up to the front. So will he run hard here, or will he try to save a little bit of tire?
Yeah, that was impressive. I didn't know he was saving or think he was saving until the end of the run. He just went right by those guys. So that's what he does.
Now, in my mind, guys, the strategy for this race would be to stay on the lead lap for the first and the second stage. I know that sounds silly, but this race is so long. Small goals. Well, now here we are. We're in that final stage. We have 15 cars in the lead lap. I think now's the point where you can start to push, be a little more aggressive, maybe take up that last few feet up to the wall to see what your car really does.
And speaking of aggressive, there's Kurt Busch putting the pressure on Keselowski. Kurt Busch got that big win just before the weekend off, and you know that's got to feel good to those guys. Some momentum heading in the right direction, and he wants to win the Southern 500 after just winning Bristol.
Well, you mentioned momentum for Kurt Busch. Well, how about Kyle Larson? He's won the first and the second stage, 2 playoff points. What would a win do for this young man? He had 18 points at this time last year, 18 playoff points.
Well, he has 5 runner-up finishes, so getting a win would feel really good. And we keep talking about this conversation of how do you compete with Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr. Who's going to be the guy that can compete with them? Well, winning this race would be a sign that they're ready to do that. He ran well at Bristol. He ended up getting a good finish at Bristol. Didn't run as well as they wanted to, but this would be a good step forward for him, Marty.
And Jeff, I have to agree. I cannot overstate enough how they thought about playoff points coming into this race. They had 0 coming into this race. They would have been the 14th seed had the playoffs started with only Jimmy Johnson and Alex Bowman below them. Already he has 2 playoff points tonight. If he can finish it off with a win, that's 5. That would jump them up into the top 5 seed in terms of the playoffs. So it would make all the difference in the world. One race if Kyle Larson can win both of these stages and finish it off with a victory lane trip. he would be in good shape for the playoffs and momentum as well.
You just never know where those playoff points are going to come into play. Think about some of these races we're going to see in the playoffs. Talladega, the road course at Charlotte. We see people tie at the end of these rounds. Those playoff points can be hugely valuable.
Yeah, Junior, we see Kevin Harvick right here, that battle for 8th. He just took that away from Ryan Newman, but that strategy of staying out on old tires, that worked for Larson, but it did not work for Kevin Harvick. He was so slow the last 10 laps of that run, just killed the tires. That really hurt him, fell back some spots, and now just fighting to get himself back up, Dave.
Jeff fell from 2nd to 10th, and you want to see how much that hurt those tires? Well, the right front, when it came off, had a really bad damage spot to it. There you see it there. And when I talked with Goodyear officials, they had a good look at it. Doesn't look like he ran over anything. They determined that was just extremely high wear. And when you look at the amount of rubber that was left on there, I mean, basically nothing all the way around, and certainly not where that spot was.
I love it. I mean, this is a racetrack that's abrasive. We need tires that wear out. We need tires that are challenging, and you have tires you have to take care of, or guys will just be out there running qualifying laps every lap.
But that puts Kevin Harvick in a unique situation, because now he knows if he gets a long run, he may be at a disadvantage to his competition. So what do you do as a driver? Do you now take it easy for 8-10 laps, trying to run as fast, trying to run those tires out longer?
Well, you remember in that first run, or that run where he did have the issue, how hard him and Truex battled. Maybe, you know, he just thinks, hey, that was a unique situation where I was trying to beat, get by Truex and maybe abuse the tires a little bit too much.
Well, 152 laps to go in the race. Kyle Larson continues to lead. And guys, he has led all day. He won stage 1. He won stage 2. We're currently in the final stage, the Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Darlington. Let's see who can try to outlast the Lady in Black. Who can win the Southern 500?
The NFL regular season begins Thursday on NBC. Shawn Mendes gets the party started with a live performance from Philadelphia. Then the Eagles begin their defense of the Super Bowl title when they face the Falcons. NFL kickoff Thursday night, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, only on NBC. All I got to say is hell to the Redskins.
You couldn't say it.
Yeah,
what happened here? You say Redskins.
Yeah.
Alex Bowman had the Eagles on the car.
Hey, I washed my hands of that thing, man. I ain't got nothing to do with that.
How about Jerry Glanville, 1992 Xfinity Series? Jerry was so much fun to hang out with when he came racing. He was just a big time, man. He enjoyed it, loved it, loves racing.
He ran a lot of races.
He did. He's offensive coordinator in the CFL now, so.
Oh, really?
Yeah, still in football. Wow, he is a blast.
Well, Jeff Burton, it's your favorite time of the race. Oh, my goodness, we got a little trouble. The 19.
Right front tire's down. He might have had some contact with the fence. Parker.
Yeah, guys, he just came on the radio and said, I got a right front down, coming obviously onto pit lane at this moment. You see him getting on pit lane safely.
Well, you see right there, there's
a lot of damage. There's a lot of damage.
Going down to turn 1 right here, up the hill. Oh, no.
He had a flat right front tire before he got the fence, before he got the corner, obviously. And funny thing, not many cars have hit the wall tonight. Looking at that wall, no flag marks on it. I mean, these guys, they can't hit the wall. We talked about the bodies on the Xfinity cars, carbon bodies. These guys don't have that. You see the damage. They can't afford to rub the fence and knock the side force and downforce out of the car.
Yeah, the corner before that, he had gotten into the fence, and then that corner, it was a total failure. So I don't know if he had a slow leak, got into the wall, or got into the wall, and that caused that major problem into 1.
So I tried to do this before Mr. Suarez had his issue.
I was going to say, my favorite time of the race is not when somebody blows a tire.
No, your favorite time of the race is when we go through the field, brought to you by Hardee's.
And Steve, pretty amazing to me, 142 laps to go. That's almost the entire Xfinity Series race yesterday, still to go here in the Southern 500. And this is where endurance comes in. Kyle Larson said earlier this week, I had a tough time keeping up with my hydration. We tested at Richmond for 2 days. It was 100 degrees. Then I went on vacation in Orlando, came here and raced. He said, I've been trying to drink water throughout the race. We'll see if he can keep it hydrated and out front, Parker.
And what a run for the guy behind there. Chase Elliott in second place. Ran the beginning of this race around 10th. then slowly moved his way just outside the top 5 and now finds himself in the top 3. And speaking to his crew chief, Alan Dustin, before the race, I said, why have you guys been getting such good finishes? He said, because we're not beating ourselves. We're improving the cars throughout the race, Marty.
Maybe the most impressive race for the 22 team of Joey Logano in several months. They're in 3rd right now, and he loves this racetrack. 2 top 10s in his last 3 Southern 500s, trying to come home with a top 5 today, Kelly.
Coming into the weekend, there were just 2 tracks on the NASCAR Cup circuit where Brad Keselowski had never won at any level. Well, yesterday he crossed the Lady in Black off that list by winning the Xfinity Series race. And even though the cars are so different, he told me in Victory Lane that it was definitely a confidence builder. He's been running top 5 all night, 4th right now, Parker.
Kelly, keep your eye on that 41 of Kurt Busch. This is a pivotal time of the race for this race team. And speaking to his crew chief, Billy Scott, he says the worst part of every race for them is stage 3. That is their #1 conversation come Monday mornings after a race. The reason when the track rubs up, they seem to lose the handle, but tonight they seem to keep up with it well, Dave.
Man, this track is a challenge. 10 laps in, Eric Jones said, my car is really coming in, and it's working on the bottom. Then 10 laps after that, he said, I can't do that anymore. I lost the ability to run the bottom. He's searching now to try to keep the 20 competitive. Speaking of competitive, Kyle Busch has regained that competitiveness in the 18 car. Balance is better now, and remember, he had damage early from contact with the 35 car. That has been repaired, and Kyle's running in the top 10. As for Kevin Harvick, what a turnaround for his Darlingtons. The first 16 times he raced here, he only led 63 laps and had an average finish greater than 18th. But the last 518 laps led and an average finish of 4.4. Trying to get there now, Parker.
Behind him is the comeback of the night, in my opinion. That is the 1 car of Jamie McMurray. We noted earlier how they blew an engine in first practice. They had to change an engine again this weekend. They used qualifying as a practice session, essentially. Started at the rear of the field and drove all the way now into the top 10. What a great run for that 1 car, Marty.
How about the rally for Clint Boyer? Remember the loose wheel? It was a right rear wheel that was loose at lap 146. He has since rallied back into the top 10. Very impressive. And throwing back to Ned Jarrett, who once won this race by 14 laps. Boyer, he loves this racetrack, but he only has 1 career top 10 here ever. That was 11 years ago, trying to get another one tonight. Ryan Newman, high hopes coming into the race, 91 points out of the playoffs. They know they need to win in the next 2 races. It has not been the night they had hoped for. Car has been tight for much of the evening for Ryan Newman, and 2 loose right there off the exit of 2, Kelly.
Well, the last time William Byron's crew chief, Darian Grubb, went to victory lane was right here at the Southern 500. It was with Carl Edwards back in 2015. They came back from 2 laps down. Darian told me he knows it's a long, hot race. You got to be patient. Right now, William running 12th, but we still got 135 laps to go, Marty.
Not the night we thought it would be for the 2017 winner of the Southern 500, Denny Hamlin, right now in 13th. He brushed the wall a little bit earlier, and he agrees this is the both mentally and physically toughest test on the entire schedule. In fact, he said, I've passed out after this race in the shower twice over the years. It has been a tough night for this 11 bunch, Parker.
And it's been a great night for Chris Buescher. He was actually as high as 5th as we came to the end of stage 2, but then he started to drop back quickly just as it ended, fell almost outside the top 10. The reason, he had a right rear tire coming apart. He actually had to pit before pit road opened because he heard it hitting the sheet metal and he thought it was tearing the right rear apart. Now trying to come back from that, Dave.
When I talked to Austin Dillon's crew chief, Justin Alexander, this morning, he said, I haven't been around long enough to have seen Dale Earnhardt run this paint scheme, but I'm so honored to be here doing it tonight. In case you missed it earlier and recognize it, that's the Quicksilver paint scheme that he ran in '95 at the All-Star race.
Guys, great work down on pit road. Updates on all cars in the top 15. A little bit of trouble for the 48 of Jimmy Johnson. Sounds like they're having some oil pressure issues. They go behind the wall to try to make mechanical repairs and be multiple laps down. Darlington Museum down here. That thing is awesome. So much history at this racetrack. So much history inside that museum. $2 million cars. Jeff Gordon and Bill Elliott. It's Monster Energy Cup Series racing from Darlington Raceway.
Our leader here in heavy traffic. He's got 4 lap cars in front of him. Kelly.
Well, the frustrating night for Jimmy Johnson and this 48 team continues. You see the work going on the 48. right now back in the garage. Jimmy lost oil pressure, and it sounds like the car had cut out at one point. They brought him down pit road, and they were able to diagnose whatever it was that caused the issue with the oil pressure. We're still not sure what that is, but they told them to bring it back to the garage where they obviously think they can repair it. Jimmy's still sitting inside the cockpit there. You see the window net up, so this crew now hard at work trying to just salvage what they can. Remember, they're in a sticky point situation, trying to maintain their bubble over the playoff cutoff line. So this crew's going to try to get the 48 back out on track.
Well, so she mentions the point situation, but no one feels great. I mean, you currently have Jimmie Johnson in 15th, Alex Bowman in 16th. I think the big concern for the 48 is you don't want to be 16th, right? You don't want to be the last guy. A surprise winner would bump the 16th place guy out. I guess that's why the 48's probably trying to repair it, to salvage whatever day they can to make sure they stay in front of their teammate, Alex Bowman.
It's just surprising to me that the 48 just can't jump out of this doldrums that they're in. Really, they just can't find a way, even on a night where they seem to have some speed. Loose wheel, commitment line problem, mechanical issue, just even when they on a night where they did have speed, nothing going right.
This just shows the work of the driver. Look at the steering wheel. This is on the helmet cam of Bubba Wallace.
Had a great battle for fourth place. Erik Jones going by Brad Keselowski here. Keselowski working that top. Eric passed him on the back straightaway. Jones continuing his march to the front after a pit road penalty earlier in the first stage.
Don't count him out.
Oh no.
You know, he has clawed his way back into contention by being smart. Very, very smart drive so far. Kevin Harvick on pit road. Dave.
No problems, Jeff. This is just part of the plan. Now, you guys have a better look at it than I do from down here, but you know how this race can go. Pitting now, he gets the fresher tires, and he can mow back through the field.
Man, get your calculators out, because basically everyone has to split up this last stage, and the question is, how many segments or groups of laps are you going to break it up into? Are you going to pit twice? Are you going to pit 3 times? Are you going to pit 4 times? It looks like Kevin Harvick, he's run almost 40 laps. So he's going to break it up into 3 pit stops, 167 laps, 3 pit stops, 40, 41 laps a run. Going to see if that's a strategy others decide to join in on, Parker.
Right, Kurt Busch there was running inside the top 10 on Ford Goodyear tires. Sunoco fuel really loose inside that car right now. Actually was complaining of no grip at all, so that's a bad condition.
I thought it.
So both the Stewart-Haas cars on pit road forcing the issue. We'll see if that drives other people onto pit road.
And just to be clear, there is risk. You lose a lap here. It's not just a, hey, do whatever you want. I mean, Kevin Harvick and Kurt Busch will both be a lap down.
It seems like all their teammates think the same. Marty.
And that's the game here, guys. Do you go 3 stops in this final stage, or do you go 2 stops? See, Clint Bowyer, who we mentioned a moment ago, has rallied his way back into the top 10. Car's been too tight for Bowyer on this run. Several other teams saying, hey, we're going to go with 2 stops, including the leader, Kyle Larson. They're going to make it on 2 stops in this final stage, Dave.
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. is going to take a stop here as well. 4 tires in fuel, and the 17 will be back on his way.
Coming down pit road, Joey Logano, who will pit from the top 3. He was running 3rd when he decided to come to pit road. Todd Gordon called him in. A little bit too tight for Joey Logano here, so going to be 4 very valuable fresh Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Also the tear-off for Joey Logano as well, trying to free it up, Dave.
Austin Dillon is on pit road. And Justin Alexander told me this morning, one thing we want to make sure we do, just keep it off the wall all night. Says that sounds simple, but so far, that's working for Dillon. He's having a good night and keeping that car clean.
Doing a good job. The right side of that 3 car looks like one of the cleanest in the field.
That right rear quarter panel's probably bent up just a little bit. Remember that contact earlier with Kyle Larson, Parker?
Swisher is going to join in on this strategy. Ford Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel. Just an air pressure adjustment. Very happy with that race car now. Just a tick tight, but they're going to join in that 3-stop strategy.
Guys, I'd like to say, I don't know if I'm going to pit 2 or 3 times, but I'm not a big fan of pitting this early. A yellow could really take you out of the race with 118 to go. So I might stop 3 times, but I think that first pit stop, I would make 50 or 55 laps in. We heard the report earlier. Jimmie Johnson was in the garage. Kelly, you got him down there?
Yeah, now he's climbed out of the 48, so the race officially comes to an end for Jimmie Johnson. What do you know about the mechanical that's taken you out?
Yeah, something with the oil pump, I believe. I'm not sure if it's through the belt or something else went on.
but the amount of time it takes to get the engine apart and the oil pump off, put a new one on, it just takes too long. Thankfully, the protection that these ECUs have, the engine's okay, we think, but it should take too long to get the oil pumped off and a new one on.
Jimmy, you showed some speed. You guys certainly seem to be improving in that department. How do you explain just the rest of it, the bad luck, the mistakes, the misfortune that's kept you guys from getting some of those results?
Yeah, it's just about cleaning things up. I didn't have a great lap in the second round of qualifying that put us back. Unfortunately, we had a loose wheel, and then I missed the commitment line coming in. So we just got to clean those things up. Our cars are getting much better. And a big thank you to everybody here at Motorsports for working so hard. We just got to minimize mistakes, and I think we can run the top 5 pretty easily.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There you see the 3-car of Austin Dillon on pit road, and on top of the screen you see penalty being issued. Austin Dillon with an uncontrolled tire, right front tire. Keep an eye. There you go. He leaves it. He looks back, but NASCAR considers that to be uncontrolled.
Got to be within arm's reach. You got to give it a couple swipes. You can't just roll it all the way to the wall from the right front. We're also hearing the 88 of Alex Bowman. You see it as well, top of the screen, Jeff. A second one, tire violation, uncontrolled tire. This goes all the way back. Remember, guys, 5 pit crew guys this year instead of 6. Even this late in the year, still trying to clean up those pit stops. Kyle Larson continues to lead, about a 5.5-second lead.
NASCAR Monster Energy Cup Series with the Bojangles Southern 500 tonight. Marty.
And Jeff, pit stops continuing under green here at Darlington. A moment ago, Martin Truex Jr. pitted. This is Denny Hamlin, another Toyota car coming to pit road. It has been a host of issues on this run. You see the damage on the right side. He hit the wall a little bit earlier. He mentioned a possible vibration at one point during this run. Also said the car way too tight to turn down the hill, Dave.
Kyle Busch will come down for his pit work now. Said he thought he should have a different tire strategy, perhaps, but they're going to go with what they have now. This being the lesser pit strategy. Kyle will get 4 and he'll be gone.
Coming to a stop here in the stall, nice and easy during this run. And for a while, Chase Elliott was able to kind of keep up with the 42, but then at the end of the run, that 42 just took off and built an 8-second lead at one point. Comes to pit road with the lead, leading 217 laps tonight. A quick stop, 13-8. The pit crew delivers, Parker.
Right, and the 9's actually exit pit lane here, or coming down to exit pit lane. And Steve, he must have been listening to you, Alan Gustin, because they pitted on lap 51, like you said.
That's the strategy. If you're going to pit only a couple times, you can still break it up even. We see the 2 of Brad Keselowski rolling down pit road at the moment. He's also chosen to pit, I would assume, 1 less time. He's coming into his pit box, Kelly.
Yeah, and he's been pretty happy with the 2. It's been just a little bit loose at time. This is a pit crew working on some new choreography here tonight to see if they can make some advances ahead of the playoffs. That's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for Brad Keselowski.
Well, we've seen problems on pit road all night. We saw Jimmy Johnson with a commitment line violation. Well, Jamie McMurray just got one as well. Entrance to pit road here is very tough.
After all that work, working himself into the top 10, put him out of the running and a lap or 2 down.
Well, that's Darlington, guys, right? I mean, it's difficult to not hit the wall on the green. It's difficult to get pit road. I mean, there's nothing very easy about this.
Let's take a look at here. How bad was this penalty for him?
So he's just in too hard, too fast, because you just can't see.
Oh, man.
And it's, you know, it's inches, but that's the rule.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta call it. It is what it is.
Yeah, the rule is you cannot touch that orange box. You have to be underneath it with all 4 tires.
It's so difficult because you can't see it. You cannot see that box, and you have to look at those yellow lines and use that as a guide. Joey Logano out with the lead right now. Remember, he pitted lap 247. Harvick in second, Kurt Busch third, Clint Bowyer fourth. Remember, they used that strategy of pitting before than everybody else.
So let's go through that strategy. You see the leaderboard on the left side. Joey Logano, Kevin Harvick, Kurt Busch, Clint Bowyer. Those 4 cars all pitted in the lap 245 range, give or take a lap. So they're out there currently on like 16, 17, 18 lap tires running 30.8 second laps. We have Kyle Larson back there in 5th. He just came off pit road. He pitted about 13 laps later. He had the lead. He had about a 5-second lead on this 22. That's how much time he gave up to new tires on Joey Logano. He's now back in 5th. The difference is, guys, Kyle Larson back in 5th. He's running a second a lap or more faster than the leaders. This is that accordion, that seesaw you're going to see. Who has new tires win? Not to mention if a yellow comes out. It could throw a wrench into everybody's strategy. Right now, though, Joey Logano doing a nice job leading this race.
See Ryan Newman. Ryan Newman's 1 lap down right now, trying to get back in the lead lap. He easily gets by Joey Logano. That puts 13 cars in the lead lap.
And this phenomenon of pitting 2 versus 3 times, it's really changed with the wave around, right? Because if you get caught under a caution and lose a lap, you can kind of just stay out, get your lap back. It's really changed how everybody calls their strategy anymore. Parker.
Well, guys, we have a developing issue here for the 78 of Martin Truex Jr. Remember, he's fighting to be that first car 1 lap down. He's just behind Eric Almirola right now. And he said that he might have a right rear or left rear loose in the corner, so it means it's vibrating around. And the team says they got him tight, so it's going to be a call up to him if he has to come down pit road and change those tires.
It's going to be tough from the driver's seat, guys.
Yeah, I mean, you got to trust the crew, though. If they say, hey, we got them tight, we know that we feel confident it's okay. That vibration could be anything. We've seen the tire issues these guys have had all night long, tires chunking and so forth. Just have to trust what the team tells you sometimes.
It's hard, though, because there's times they say, I know we got them all tight, and then they didn't. So it's just a very difficult situation for the driver to be in. The last thing you want to do is pit, and they say, hey, we don't see anything wrong. But you know as a driver how bad it is, and you just got to gauge it. Sometimes there's something going on inside the tire that they can't see, and it's a tough call, but you have to be willing to make it.
Well, here you have it. Those new tires for Kyle Larson, or fresher tires than both Clint Bowyer and Kurt Busch in front of them. Those are the 3rd, 4th, and 5th place car. You're going to see how much those tires are worth right here as Kyle Larson drives underneath Clint Bowyer. I assume he should easily drive by him. I mean, look at the mile per hour comparison. He's a good 4 to 5 miles an hour faster than the leader.
Yeah, this group here, the ones that pitted earlier, what would really help them, right, is if a caution came out now.
Yeah.
Then they would have leapfrogged all the people that pitted after them. That's really what they're wanting. That would be their best case scenario, as long as you don't get so many cautions late in this race that you run out of tires.
Question if you're a crew chief, especially the crew chief for Kyle Larson, you got your slide rule, you got your calculator out, and you're saying, hey, how many laps does it take me to overtake Joey Logano? And if we continue this leapfrog cycle to the end of the race, where does that put me? Does that put me in front of or behind these cars that are deciding to pit in extra time more than me?
Junior, does that make you feel better that he was using the slide rule on top of the pit box?
Not
Abacus?
really.
No?
Can you use the slide rule? You know how to use it?
No.
Okay.
I mean, let's be fair. It was like a TI 84, 85 fancy calculator.
This pace right now, Larson's going to be battling for that lead in about 6 or 7 laps. Drove to a 6 seconds behind Joe Logano. Kevin Harvick's 4 seconds back of the leader.
And he can recognize that pace as well. And he doesn't have to push this that hard. He can slowly find his way to the front. If not, he can eat those tires up and take away the advantage of having new tires. We're going to nonstop.
Sit back and get refreshed. You're watching NASCAR on NBC.
Welcome back to NASCAR Cup Racing here at Darlington. The real joy of the throwbacks is it's not just the cars and the drivers, it's also the teams. Take a look at Joey Logano's team. They're, of course, running that Steve Park Trophy, but all the guys have their Pennzoil gear. Right next door here, you can see the 6 team. Everybody's rocking the Oscar Mayer logo, so it's really fun because the crews get involved as well. And when you take a quick run down pit road, you can also take a look at the 14 crew down here, of course, running that Ned Jarrett paint scheme. These guys look great, and you can't leave out the Wood Brothers, the 21 team. Take a look at how good everybody on that team looks. Oh, and Glenn Plake's in the house. Of course, we all know, love him. Beautiful Mohawk, but boy, these teams, guys, really get into this throwback, and it's not just the driver in the car, it's the entire team.
It's the team, the sponsors, man, everybody just really supports it.
There you go. Kyle Larson has caught our leader. It ain't going to take long for him to get by him. been quite a bit faster than Logano. They're all in traffic here. 12 lap pressure tires for the 42. Oh, these lap guys aren't going to give it to them. They're going to move over. Ty Dillon, Christopher Buescher. Look at this 22 get a little loose there. Marty.
And guys, you see Kyle Larson retake the lead. He'll try to lead his 218th lap of the night. A dominant performance for him. But even behind the wheel, Kyle had questions about the strategy and what's going on the racetrack. Here was his answer.
What kind of strategy are we on compared to the others? It's really split. Some guys are on 2, some guys are on 3. The 22 and the 4 are probably the cars you're racing that are on the 3-stop strategy you got to worry about. So we need to get to that 22 and put as much time on him as we can. He's got to pit 2 more times. You got to pit once.
And that's pretty simple for you behind the wheel, but Kyle Larson knows he has a dominant car. Can he finish off the race? This might be the most dominant race he's had in his Cup Series career, guys.
Yeah, I think it's important what that information that went to Kyle Larson was put as much space as you can to that 22. They know they're in a different sequence, but to hurt that pit strategy, he's got to drive away from him. He cannot be saving tires right now.
Well, the magic number in my mind is 5 seconds. Before all this strategy came into play, Larson had 5 seconds over Joey Logano. If he can stretch that lead back to 5 seconds before Logano pits, I'd say no advantage to the 22.
Well, Steve, let's take a look at tonight's lap leaders, brought to you by Honda Power Sports. And Kyle Larson, 219 laps. I'd say that's dominating compared to Martin Truex Jr. at 30, Logano 18, Hamlin 11, and Keselowski only at 2.
Well, we've seen this before with Kyle Larson in his career. It's the 4th time in his career he's led 200-plus laps in a race, but yet to win in either of those 3 previous starts. So,
Mr. Negative, come on, man.
I mean, it's a stat.
Numbers don't lie, do they, Junior?
They don't.
He was a slide rule.
Man, I've tried to test him. Hey, guys, we're in the last 100 laps, 86 to go. As a race car driver, is this where you're starting to really feel the effects of 500 miles at Darlington?
Yeah, I think it is, but you can't. That's the thing. At this racetrack, you have to be conditioned. You have to have taken care of yourself and put fluids in your body all during the week, because at this racetrack, if you don't stay attentive and you don't stay in the right mind, you are going to hit that wall. So this is a place where driver preparation really comes into play.
You don't anticipate running so many green flag runs. Man, that's one thing that almost doubles the fatigue factor physically and mentally. You got to see these guys. They get out of these cars tonight. You're going to see a lot of things like we saw after Chicago. Guys struggling to compose themselves.
And it's still hot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's nighttime, but it's South Carolina, Labor Day weekend. It is still exceptionally hot outside.
And now as that fatigue sets in, we'll be coming to the most important green flag pit stops, the ones at the end of the race. So the drivers have to get on pit road, have to be underneath that orange box. How about the pit crews? They've been sitting around all day in this heat. They have to continue. We've seen a few mistakes with uncontrolled tires. They're going to have to be clean on these final pit stops.
Yeah, we've even heard Kyle Busch on the radio talking about wanting something to eat, something to put in his body. And under caution, you can find time to do that. If it's a green flag pit stop, it's hard to get something in that helmet and try to get it eaten.
We need a yellow here pretty soon, or our stat guys, I think, are going to go on strike over here. They said they need some food as well. Parker.
Well, guys, the 78 of Martin Truex Jr., we told you how he felt like he had a loose wheel. That was a long discussion during this run. They're going to come down and change all 4 of those tires on the 78. Also pitting there is Kurt Busch. We noted how he's most likely on that 3-stop strategy that the Stewart-Haas cars are doing. He's going to do 4 Goodyear tires in Sunoco fuel in that 41 car. Just struggling, still being a little tight off the corner right now.
Here comes his teammate, Kevin Harvick, to pit road as well. Dave.
Yep, and as you know, cannot make it from here on fuel, so there'll be another stop to come for the Ford team. Said the balance was better, no better, but it seemed to be hanging on a little bit longer, at least in the average state. So not bad again for Kevin. He's just playing the strategy right now, 4 fresh tires, get going back again.
Steve coming behind all these guys. It's now Joey Logano on pit road.
This is is an important stop. He's basically the leader of this 3-stop group. So if anyone's going to try to contend with Larson, if it continues to run green, it's going to be this 22, Marty.
That's a great point, Steve. And another Team Penske car came down pit road. Ryan Blaney just left a moment ago. But Joey Logano and his team going into the weekend, Todd Gordon told me our speed really hasn't been there. So where we need to perform, execution. They have done that tonight, both on the speed front and the execution front. The 22 team has gained them a couple of spots here on pit road. But as you guys mentioned, critical stops under green, hoping to hang on to that track position. Sort of the leader, the Pied Piper of those 3-stop guys. And air pressure adjustment car's been a little bit too free. Also some tape on the grill. That'll help with a little bit of downforce too.
Well, the one Stewart-Haas car that we have not seen on pit road that we saw earlier is Clint Bowyer. They were all on that same sequence, and Clint Bowyer is yet to come on pit road.
And Jeff Mike Bugaravich told him a moment ago, our teammates are pitting, we are not. We're going to run longer here. So an interesting call by Mike Bugaravich with Clint Bowyer leaving him out a little bit longer than those other corporate teammates.
We talk about how hard it is to get to pit road. Well, the 43, Bubba Wallace just missed the entry. Let's take a look.
Great shot here.
I'm looking forward to this. Slow down, slow it down, slow it down. Not going to happen. You can see he's going to not be able to get under that commitment cone or that orange square, so make another lap.
So when you're watching at home, you're like, how does this happen? Like, how in the world can they not make this? Well, when you were riding along, that showed why.
Yeah, you can hear the sand and debris hitting the wheel wells of the car. It's like a beach. I mean, it's so slick on that apron. It's like driving on the beach. It's impossible to do it at such a high rate of speed.
And you just can't convince yourself. And Matt Kenseth, you see at the top of the line, Matt Kenseth also with a commitment line violation. You just can't convince yourself you have to be going that slow in order to make that, get underneath that box.
Well, the replay you guys showed, I looked at the tire tracks. There was a lot going out to the right, barely turning left to get back underneath that box. Darlington Raceway, the lady in black. She can be vicious at times. So much history. It has ruined so many people's hopes, dreams, and good runs. How about Kyle Larson? He's led 235 laps, dominated tonight. Can he put it together for the final 70 laps here this evening?
NASCAR America on NBCSN, 5 p.m. Eastern weekdays. We're going to be talking about this race this week for sure. Kyle Larson, if he can hang on. Yesterday, that 42 dominated the Xfinity race. Couldn't finish the deal, but see the same thing tonight. Be interesting how this strategy is going to play out.
Some tells me we might be talking about that race on NASCAR
Yeah,
America
buddy.
as well. Oh, contact.
Eric Jones worked his way into second place here. He's 4.5 seconds off of Larson. He's actually been faster than Larson by quite a bit over the last several laps. Larson with a little trouble there in turn 1. First sign of weakness in his car.
And you want to say, hey, you have a 4.5 second lead. Like, why are you doing that? But that's where the line is. That's where the groove is. And
well, and Jeff Kids, who's racing Joey Logano back there in 10th on those new tires. He knows those new tires are coming. You mentioned it. Look at this.
Wow, what a slide there. Woo! That's. I mean, there's no good place to get loose here because you're always against the fence. Turn 1 is the fastest part of the racetrack. In turn 1 there.
All right, let's get some updates from pit road. We'll go to Parker Kligerman.
Well, guys, Chase Elliott running in third. You may notice that yellow and blue paint scheme. Well, this is inspired by his late cousin, Casey Elliott, and what he drove in the NASCAR All-Pro and Xfinity Series. And he's the son of famed engine builder Ernie Elliott, who's obviously Chase's uncle. And the thing is, though, Casey was poised to move the Xfinity Series in 1994 before he was sadly diagnosed with bone cancer, which he succumbed to in 1996. So a nice tribute there by Chase Elliott, Dave.
Sure is, Parker. Ty Dillon takes us back to 2009 and Germain Racing's first foray into the Cup Series. The driver, Como Italy's Max Pappas. He raced 15 times and got the team's first top 10 in the series, 8th at Watkins Glen. Marty?
Clint Bowyer staring at his best ever Southern 500 finish. He is in 6th, and maybe he's channeling a little bit of Ned Jarrett. This is Ned Jarrett's paint scheme from 1965, and check out the cool lettering with the Carolina Ford dealers on there. Ned, by the way, won that race by 14 laps. Clint Bowyer's number 14 there. The biggest margin in Cup Series history. You see him coming to pit road right now, Kelly.
Jeffrey Earnhardt running a paint scheme that his grandfather Dale ran for 4 races for team owner Will Cronkite. Well, 80-year-old Mr. Cronkite has been on hand this weekend. What's more, when Jeffrey wrecked during qualifying, the 80-year-old was there to try to help make repairs. And how about those throwback t-shirts to when Dale Sr. wore the damn I'm good.
Pretty cool to see those in the garage area this week. And we mentioned Clint Bowyer coming to pit road. Here he is. He said the car really took off better this run, but got free. And Mike Bugaravich said, I honestly think the track's going through a little bit of a swing here. It has gotten cooler at Darlington. You see it fall off the left side jack. We talk about execution. That's going to cost them time, some time that it could not afford. And all a long stop on a green flag stop for the 14 bunch.
Marty, that is definitely not the pit stop they were looking for. The 14 kind of switched strategies. He ran long this second stint. We're going to see how many more pit stops he makes with 64 to go. It'll be interesting. It's going to be also interesting to see how much that slow pit stop will hurt his efforts as he returns to the racetrack.
He returns to the racetrack. One man burning up the racetrack right now, Eric Jones, in second place. Faster again than Kyle Larson. He's chopped the lead down to 4 seconds. Last lap by just a little bit slower because of some traffic, but I know Kyle Larson is on a plan by himself, and he's competing against all these other guys who are on a different strategy. But Jones has clawed himself back into this race.
He's gained a second and a half on him since he got to second place. So, and we see by the car that Kyle Larson's not riding around. He is driving that car hard. Marty.
You guys remember that shot a moment ago of Kyle Larson sliding in the corner? And right after that, his team came on the radio and said, how's your car handling? He goes, that's been the same all race, just a little bit free. So that is a little bit free for Kyle Larson. That's a lot free to me, Dave.
Marty, as a crew chief to run at Darlington, you have to really be flexible. Chris Gale last year got Eric Jones a top 5 by employing the more stops strategy in the final run. Earlier tonight, he deployed the more stops strategy to get him up to where he was. But tonight, for the final run, he's going the less stops strategy. Flexibility, Kelly.
William Byron in the 24 cars had a car that's been a little bit too loose all night. They've taken some pretty big swings at it on pit road. Last time down, they just made an air pressure adjustment, which seemed to help him out. He said his balance was really not that bad this last run, so it's going to be 4 Goodyear tires and Sunoco fuel for William Byron.
William Byron's did a nice job. You talk about how difficult this racetrack is. Look at the right side of that race car. Relatively clean. I don't see any damage from the wall. 60 laps to go. That's a good run by the driver of the 24. I think Jeff Gordon, if he's watching, he's going to be impressed to see that paint scheme running well here this weekend. And now it's just the wait and see game. Kyle Larson leading the race. I would expect we're going to see him on pit road in just a handful of laps. He has 60 laps to go. Imagine he's going to want to pit somewhere mid-50s, maybe 55 to go. Eric Jones, these last couple laps, lost some time.
Eric Jones has been in traffic. Kyle Larson's been running by himself. And he's actually been able to stretch that lead back out to 5.5 seconds on Eric Jones. Now up to 6 seconds almost.
Let's talk about the length of this race. So we just crossed the 3-hour mark. All but 2 of the last 11 races of 2018, guys, they were over by now. So while it may not seem long at 500 versus, say, the Coca-Cola 600, but time of day, this is without a doubt a marathon.
Watching Kyle Larson run turn 3 and 4. He's using a pretty unique line, going in against the fence and right in the center of the corner, turning the car down right across the bottom of the corner. Apex in the apron on exit. Turn 3 and 4 here. Traditional line there. Watch down here in turn 3. He's found some little speed down here. I think he can run wherever he wants, but certainly using this line. Watch him enter high, right on the wall.
That's old school there.
Center of the corner, though. He's turning down and apexing late here instead of staying on the fence. Getting a great drive off on corner.
Yeah, watch. You're talking about Kyle Larson, how much racetrack he's using. Well, right here in the middle of the corner, I thought he may have gotten in the wall right there, just right against it, real close. See those tire marks on the wall. I don't think that's Kyle Larson's, but he was using every inch of the racetrack, Dave.
Eric Jones said he was fighting the back end of the race car on the exit of the corner. Crew chief asked him, well, what do you want? He said, well, maybe nothing. So no wrenches going in, possibly a slight air pressure adjustment. His teammate Kyle Busch comes down pit road as well. Kyle, on the other hand, has been, his car has actually gotten better. He was asked, is your car better? Absolutely, he said. So not too many changes to the 18 here to the end as well.
A little bit of tire rubber's falling off the rotor. No big deal right there. Looks cool, but no problem.
See how long Kyle Larson will be able to stay on the racetrack. Oh, big wreck in the middle of 3 and 4. Hard contact into the wall.
Oh, my God.
Huge wreck. The 14 of Clint Bowyer. Look at the damage. 31, Ryan Newman. The 96 of Jeffrey Earnhardt. Man, look at the 14 car. I looked up out the window and saw both cars going up the banking.
What the hell happened there?
And Clint had pitted on lap 301. He had pretty much the freshest tires in the field.
Talk about the closing rate. You know,
yes.
New tires, old tires, multiple lines. That is such a huge wreck. The 14 was running 12th. The 31 was up in the side of the top 10 in the 6th position.
That's a hard hit for the 14.
Clint climbing out.
Climbing out there.
We're hearing Ryan Newman was trying to come to pit road. I don't know if that contributed to the accident. We're going to have to see the replays when they come.
Back up. Just kind of tape it up so it stays on, okay? Get a piece of bare bond and put the bumper cover back up. 4 tires.
Here's Newman. Oh, man.
Very clear to me the 31 was coming to pit road, and Clint Bowyer had no idea. He had no idea the 31 was pitting. Heavy contact. Man, look at this right here.
Clint Bowyer hit
hard twice.
Twice he hit way hard.
Yeah, that's the last hit's the worst because all the crumple zones and everything, the absorbing impact stuff is already absorbed the first impact.
That's a big hit.
Oh.
Jeffrey Earnhardt sliding in there.
This one right here is not much better.
No, this is the worst one because he's already got so much damage.
Oh, look at that wall, how much that wall moves when he makes contact.
I mean, normally you would expect, you know, maybe see a hand waving out the window, but the difference is in speed. He had to be so far behind him on the backstretch, he probably couldn't even see the 31 when he was on the backstretch.
Yeah, what these spotters will typically do is I mean, in a race like this with this type of situation, they would be extremely vocal with either hand signals or some sort of a system to be able to help each other understand who's coming to pit road and when. But this stuff happens so fast.
I mean, clearly, Clint had no idea that Ryan Newman was coming on the pit road.
And, you know, the 31 is looking for the win to make the playoffs. The leader, sometimes you get fortunate. I think he was coming to pit road, and he ended up missing the accident. And now he is absolutely in the catbird seat. He's the leader on the racetrack. So let's take a listen into the 14's radio.
What the hell happened there?
The 31 pitted. I had no idea. I know he was talking. I think you had talked right before it, and we just nailed him.
That was Brett Griffin, the spotter, saying he had no idea Newman was pitting. So Clint never got the message, but that doesn't mean Clint couldn't see him. You know what I mean? It's just, I just don't think Clint had any idea.
No, he didn't.
That
Obviously
the pace was that different.
Well, I just said that the 42 on old tires running around the bottom from up here, I think he's pitting a couple laps. Like they're physically running so slow. I know it doesn't feel that way inside the race car, but I guess what I'm trying to say is the tires get so old that they really creep around the bottom, even making laps. You saw the 51 was up high. He thought, man, I'm going to go below the 51, I'm sure, and try to make a move on the 31. And the 31 just continued to decel.
Let's see if Newman was waving down the back straightaway. There he is, yeah. Not a lot. I mean, you know, Clint and these guys can't see it. There's a car between Clinton and Newman.
I think that was a major factor. I think that car, I think that was a major factor with B.J. McLeod. I believe that's who it was. You know, Clint's behind him. And then all of a sudden,
So
watch.
watch.
He's
And
waving
watch
now.
BJ. He points him to the bottom. So you look at 31 waving. Now look at BJ McLeod. His hand comes out the window and points to the bottom. He's going to let Clint Bowyer go on the bottom, but Clint can't see, to your point, through the 51 to the 31.
That's correct. So the 31 drives to the bottom as Clint's driving to the bottom with way more pace, and boom, there he is. Big wreck.
And you talk about a perfect storm.
Yes.
That is it right there. And there's the end result of the storm, the 14 of Clint Bowyer. Heavy, heavy damage. His night is over. The 31's coming to pit road. He's going to have to get a new tail panel put on that car. It looks like they have most of it repaired. All right, I thought it completely came off. It must have just been blown up. They're duct taping that on. That's required to make laps.
And remember, Bristol, we saw a car running around without a tail panel. It wasn't required at Bristol because of the size of the racetrack. But at this racetrack, because it's big enough, they do make you have that tail panel.
They're dropping the car off the jack to fix the front splitter clearance.
I'm fond of that move. We've done that move before.
We have done that before, unfortunately. Now they're looking at the back of the car. The bumper bar's bent down on the racetrack and trying to cut that stuff loose. We'll see what this does to the rest of the field. Come back.
Kyle Larson already in his stall under caution here at Darlington pit stops. It could decide the Southern 500. They reminded him, no mistakes. We want you under your speed. A slight change there for the 42, Kelly.
Brad Keselowski pits from second. He said he was losing grip and struggling, especially on entry and exit of the corners. They're going to go back on a previous adjustment. 4 tires on fuel, Marty.
Saw a wedge adjustment there for Joey Logano, who comes in running third. They said, we're good, but the 42 is lights out good so far tonight at Darlington. That wedge adjustment trying to free up Joey Logano for this maybe final run of the race, guys.
You don't have to adjust your TV sets. It didn't look crazy, but 3 cars. There's 3 cars currently on the lead lap. That's the 3 cars that pitted. Kyle Larson, Brad Keselowski, Joey Logano. Now, the 4 of Kevin Harvick got the free pass, and I expect a bunch of other cars, Kurt Busch, Chase Elliott, Newman, everyone that's 1 lap down will take the wave around and get back on the lead lap. But basically, Larson, Keselowski, and Logano, they got to feel like they're in the catbird seat right now. Fresh tires and track position.
Yeah, they can go the rest of the way to the finish, obviously. And if there's no caution, there's no threat for these other guys to take advantage of being able to get that wave around. They only got to compete against themselves.
It's the best.
Yeah. And so far, nobody's been really able to compete with Larson. I mean, he has been, it's like a switch. Like, he runs as hard as he wants, when he wants.
Yeah, as we talk about, throwback weekend, there's so many great sponsors in the sport. We see Skittles back on the 18, all these other cool cars. That 3 car looks like the car your dad ran, the 24 car. That 42, DC Solar on the side of that. They were on the Xfinity race and the Cup race. That's a sponsor. It's kind of new. See Oscar Mayer in the field today. Bojangles is on a car. It's just, there's so much to this weekend. We talked about the crews, the uniforms, the drivers, even the sponsors are getting into it. It's cool to see sponsors like DC Solar let him do that Davey Allison throwback scheme.
Yeah, that is awesome. But I think it's really important to remember that Kyle Larson has led a ton of laps in many races that he has not won. And this is the Southern 500. It's not going to be easy. He's had the fastest car. There's no question he's had the fastest car. We've seen this before out of this team and in this race. So you're going to have to stay on it. Any mistake at all, and they're there to take it away from you. Hey, Rutledge, what you got going on, bud?
Jeff, I was trying to find a good place to watch the race during this caution, and I found a great one right underneath one of the Jumbotrons here in the infield. But take a look. These fans always come out here and line it. This year they got smart. They found a power cable, and they even brought fans, of course, Fireball, so it's a real party now. But look at them. Everybody's just hanging out. Don't be scared. You look great. Good fans. Yeah, it turns out, guys, they might be here to camp, but they still want to watch the race, so why not just watch it on a huge screen? Great idea.
I don't know if you guys saw it. That last screen, we saw Kyle Larson's car. Looked like some damage to the left rear quarter panel. Maybe on this pit stop somehow or another, the left rear quarter panel was rolled up by the tire.
Yeah, like if you're looking at the side of it, what is that, like 10 o'clock or so, kind of in front of that left rear tire? It's hard to say with the paint. Right under that D in DC Solar, it looks like there maybe have been a rub or something. We'll have to watch that.
Yeah. You guys are paranoid.
Man. you know, maybe.
Looked a lot worse.
Maybe. Crew chief envy.
Kelly.
Hey, I've got Paul Wolf, who's calling the shots for Brad Keselowski in this 2 team. And earlier today, Paul, you told me, hey, a top 5 would be a success for you. Now you're going to be on the front row in this restart. What do you think you guys might have for the 42?
Well, he's been good all night. Obviously, he's been pretty dominant, but we're getting down to the closing laps, and usually Brad's able to save a little bit for the end. Just proud of the effort. It's been a long night. We've worked on the car all night, and Brad's done a great job of slowly working our way towards the front, and our strategy worked out there when we caught that caution to put us up here in the front row. So just time to capitalize.
All right, we look forward to seeing how this plays out. Marty?
Let's chat with Chad Johnson, the man who has put the dominant car on the racetrack tonight. Well, you've been in this position before, leading a lot of laps. How does Kyle close it out?
I feel like we've had a better car all night long. I think you're racing the 2 and the 22 at this point. We just got to keep it clean, keep the right side on it. He's just got to run 47 of the best laps he's ever ran around here, and we'll see if we can close it out.
Any damage on the left rear? We kind of noticed a little bit of something there.
No, none that I know of. We got a little left front damage from where the 3 cut across the nose earlier, but it hasn't been an issue. So I think right now we're still pretty clean right side, so we're good to go to the end.
There you go, Chad Johnson up here. Fingers crossed in the 42 pits that they can close this out, Steve.
Let's take a look at tonight's Ram trucks proving the last mistakes on pit road. They can go the last 47 laps, but with yellows, we will see pit stops. What pit crew will remain clean?
Yeah, a lot of our strategy, we see only after the wave rounds, 8 cars in the lead lap. If we get some cautions, who can get themselves back in contention?
We talked about the Darlington stripe all week. So far, not a lot of guys have got one, but I think business is going to pick up, and we might see a few guys put that right side of the fence before it's over with.
Well, it's Labor Day weekend. Darlington, South Carolina, the weather's been outstanding, a little warm, but the crowds have come out, haven't they, Jeff? This place is packed.
And it's winning time. It's less than 50 to go to win the Southern 500, one of the biggest races of the year. Can somebody take it from Kyle Larson? Can Keselowski step up? It's been since in the 70s since the last time Penske won here at Darlington. Can tonight be the night they make it happen?
Oh, lights are back on. Apparently, we're not going to go green this time.
Man, I was excited.
I know, we got pumped up. We were ready. I mean, think about it. Yesterday in the Xfinity race, the 42 was dominant, couldn't find its way all the way to victory lane, had an accident late. And who capitalized? Brad Keselowski. 47 to go. Look who's on the outside of the front row. None other than Brad Keselowski. Let's take a listen to the 2.
Brad, it's been a long night. Done a good job. We put ourselves in position here at the end. That's what we wanted to do. So, do your best here. Make the most of it. See what we get.
Well, yesterday in the Xfinity race, he got his first ever win at Darlington. And we heard this team talking this week. Paul Wolf, his crew chief, he was very clear. They haven't had the speed, but if they do everything right, and late in the race, if they're in position to win, he thinks they can get it done. Well, they've done that. They've done everything right to get to this point. You heard him talking to Brad. They've had this conversation, and that was his way of saying, okay, it's winning time, man. Go make it happen.
How about this? Hasn't been since 1975 since Team Penske has won here. I couldn't believe that. The captain seems to win everywhere.
The reason for the extra laps to get Denny Hamlin to the back of the field for pit too soon. He was up there lined up toward the front.
You got to try.
Yeah.
Sometimes just put yourself where you think
maybe nobody's looking
or where you want to be.
Maybe nobody's paying attention. I'm just going to restart right here.
42 has chosen the inside. That's interesting. It splits up the Penske cars, puts Brad on the outside, Joe Logano on the inside of row 2.
And we've seen the art of pushing be so valuable on these restarts. Can these guys push somebody, take the lead?
He's used that inside to work. Every restart before, here he comes with the Geico restart zone to bring him down to what could be the final restart. There's that push you talked about. Joe Logano shoves Larson into the lead.
Teammates side by side. Who's going to give off 2? It's tight side by side off 2. Keselowski takes it. Logano back to the bottom. Going to try to get all 4 tires below that white line. Can't get the run.
You see those new tires, man. These guys are driving away from the rest of the field. Kurt Busch hanging in there pretty good.
Kurt Kurt has those new tires as well. The only problem is he's one lap down. He's racing for the free pass. Looks like he's solidly in that position right now. Now he needs a yellow with 44 to go.
Larson's just put a half a second on these guys already. Penske guys just don't have much for him.
But 44 laps is a long run at Darlington. You know, at what point do you get away and then manage your tires? Is it as hard as you can go? How do you run these last 44 laps?
I just go and get as far away as I can. That would have been my strategy. I
thought there'd be a trick. That's kind of what I would try to do.
I never saved tires. I just went as hard as I could. Now, maybe my hard wasn't as, you know, me going hard wasn't as hard as some other people would go, but I just gave 100% every lap.
Last lap. Keselowski a little faster by 10. So Larson, is he smart enough and tactful enough to maybe just pace himself right out here in front off the nose of that Miller Genuine Draft Ford?
Guys, I know it isn't the fastest racetrack we go to, but something about the groove these guys have to run and the wall, that classic white and red painted blocks. It just looks like they're going 200 miles an hour through the middle of turns 1 and 2. It's just crazy how fast they look.
Brad again faster. Cut it down to 3/10. You see it right there. Larson just trying to save a little on the front end, knowing that he needs, you know, what that can do to the car. If you do go just a little easier those first 5 laps, it pays dividends on the long run so much.
And Junior, you can see that 2-car catching the 42 of Kyle Larson, but all night long, Kyle Larson has said his car's a little bit tight to start off with, and then he gets really good for a long time. What they tried to make a change for on this last stop is that he's too free at the end of the run. That's what they were shooting for, but right now, hoping to hang on that lead until the car gets, quote, really, really good.
Looks like some debris off of somebody's car. Well, if he's tight on the start of the run and they made an adjustment to work on the free issue late in the run, that's only going to make this car tighter at the beginning. That may be what he's fighting right now, but getting to him and passing him, that's 2 different things. It's going to be difficult to get around that 42. There's a caution for that debris we saw off of turn 2.
That's going to have, it's going to equalize things quite a bit, because now, you know, now you have 7 cars in the lead lap. Somebody will get the wave around. That'll be 8. There's the debris. We saw it fly up, and it's going to change things a little bit. Now the pit crew is going to have to step up right here. You see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you mentioned pit crews. You know, some tracks we would say, oh, the debris continues to get hit. That's big. Looks like a piece of metal and fiberglass. It's pretty heavy.
Maybe a exhaust,
yeah,
you know,
heat shield.
Heat shield. Thank you.
So I was going to say, you know, only 7 hard laps on those tires. Yeah, 13 total. Some tracks you would say, hey, what should we do? Oh, you're pit. I mean, here it's pretty easy, right, guys? I mean, if I'm a crew chief, I'm putting 4 tires on, no doubt. You mentioned Kurt Busch, those laps he was putting together, Dale Jr., it really worked out for him. He should get the free pass in this situation. Add him back to the cars in the lead lap. Kelly.
Showing you there, William Byron in the 24. That's because he says he is blowing up, and now you can see that puff of smoke coming out. William saying that the oil pressure is on 2, and he just said it's too hot, and he has no oil pressure.
2 is not enough oil pressure.
No, 2 is.
And that's the second Hendrick car with an oil pressure problem.
And the third of the weekend, if you go back to Jamie McMurray.
Right.
So that's 3 Hendrick engines, normally very reliable.
Didn't even think about Jamie's car, HMS Power.
We talk about the gains. You know, where do you make gains? Downforce, you know, horsepower. I mean,
there it is.
Oh man,
it's done.
They've made gains everywhere, and apparently some of the gains under the hood are.
Well, nothing's free, right? I mean, you can't have. Hey, what do you want? More horsepower, or more reliability? I'll take both. Well, it's not really how it works.
Working with these guys, though, they're the best at going home and figuring out how to fix this stuff and maintain that gain. Kelly.
All right, you're going to see who takes this opportunity to pit once again. The 2 of Brad Keselowski. Pretty happy. It was just a short run on those tires, but he seemed happy with the 2 car. They're going to give him some fresh Goodyear rubber to work with, and a splash of Sunoco fuel as well. Marty?
7 hard laps at Darlington and the green. You betcha you're coming down pit road. Kyle Larson said that time his car actually built 2 free, especially in 1 and 2, so they're going to make a slight air pressure adjustment here for fresh Goodyear tires. Joey Logano, bottom of your screen, said his car took off too tight for him, so they also make an air pressure adjustment, trying to free him up, and Larson keeps the lead and holds serve here on pit road.
Joey Logano, though, gains a position that puts him on the front row. Out in second position, Keselowski back to third. Chase Elliott, Harvick, and Eric Jones, the top 6.
Well, intensity levels picking up on the racetrack, on pit road, everywhere. Watch as Harvick and Kyle Busch come on pit road. Kyle Busch is saying, go a little quicker, pushes him into his pit box. The Verizon IndyCar Series will close out the 2018 season in 2 weeks from Sonoma Raceway. Who will claim the championship at this double point race? Find out September 16th on NBCSN.
Here's the standings. Remember, that's double points coming up.
Double point race. Put the pressure on Alexander Rossi.
I was going to say, it's a big day for Dixon. He was in a wreck, I think, like the first or second lap today. Rallied back inside the top 5 to keep that points lead. Marty.
Let's chat with Todd Gordon, his driver Joey Logano in a great spot here, starting on the front row. So what did you do to coach up your driver for this final restart? What might be the final restart?
Yeah, I hope it's the final restart. We'll see where it goes. You know, it's just, he's done a great job all day long. I'm not really coaching him up, just to let him see what's in front of him, do what he has to do. But, you know, it takes us 4 or 5 laps to really get rolling. That 42's got a lot of speed, but I'll put Joey against him, see where it goes.
A lot more players with more cars on the lead lap too, guys.
We saw the launch that Joey Logano got in the second row. Joey's acceleration from that third position was excellent. We'll see if Brad can do the same thing. So we have Kyle Larson, Joey Logano on row 1, Brad Keselowski, Chase Elliott on row 2. Behind them, Kevin Harvick. He'll be behind Brad Keselowski in the inside row.
And Larson has dominated every restart. They're going to have to do something different. Right now, everybody's thinking, okay, we got to try something different. I just got my eyes on the 9 car of Chase Elliott. Can he push Logano to the lead here?
So far, Larson's chose that bottom groove. Good traction down there. No push from Keselowski yet, but he's closing in on that bumper, and Larson doesn't need it. He's clear. Both of them clear into turn 1. Logano tries to get that outside quarter panel with Keselowski, but can't do it. Look at Chase Elliott in the 4th.
Harvick trying to get under the 9 of Chase Elliott. Not going to be able to do it. Chase carried a ton of speed. Center exit.
Run before, Keselowski had pretty good speed, was putting a little bit of pressure on Larson. They've been down pit road since, made more adjustments.
Look at his line. Harvick runs low through the middle of the corner. Big run on Chase Elliott. Now can he make the pass through the middle? Chase is going to try to carry speed in. Harvick's going to slide up in front. Nice move by Harvick. That lower line we see Harvick runs it in practice all day long. Use it right there.
All 4 tires on that apron getting in the corner. Doesn't use the apron right there coming off turn 2. We see him do it. Now Jones is trying to get by Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott just seems to be struggling here on this set of tires. Parker?
And that's the odd part, Junior, because the strength of that 9 car has actually been the short run throughout this race. It's been on the long run, late in the long run. When they get past 40-so laps, he starts to fall off the cliff a little bit. So this has not been a good adjustment and not a good restart there for Chase Elliott.
And not a good time. No. Have a bad restart. 31 to go. Eric Jones run well all night.
He has. Doesn't seem to have quite the speed he had earlier in the race. That's what happens late in the race, man. This thing tightens up. The track physically tightens up. Bouncing cars tighten up. You got to stay on top of that, Steve, and keep adjusting your car, especially for that last 50 laps.
And the pace, not just the track change, but the pace. It seems like, you know, you have to find something, right? Another tenth. Well, how do you do it? You attack the corner a little deeper. As a crew chief, I have to know that, right? That's one advantage of working with someone for a long time. You and I, towards the end of our careers together, I knew what you needed in that last run. I thought we were better that way. I could try to anticipate how much harder you're going to have to drive the car. Well, we saw that huge accident in turns 3 and 4. Clint Boyer was involved. Moments ago, he caught up with Dave Burns.
With Clint Boyer now, Clint, that was a big hit. You all right?
Yeah, it's a shock. I don't know. I guess it must have been pitting. I mean, he just stopped right in the middle of the racetrack. I don't know. You come up on, first of all, the damn lappers out there. I don't know who the 99 car is or whatever, but I think I lapped him 50-some times. He's all over the damn place. You come by him, you come by this guy. You don't even have a chance to get track of where you're at because of who you're racing and some of the guys that are in the race. Everybody deserves a chance out there, but I'm tired of that crap. Frustrated. I was really proud of this car with Ned Jarrett here today. It was a pretty special day. I don't know what it is about this place. I run decent here. I never can finish. It's always something stupid. Always something stupid like that, but I don't know. We guess I'll go home, pout some more.
Hear the frustration. Well, you run all night long, you put all that effort in, you don't get to finish. It's never any fun to have to go home early while the race is still going on around you. You guys aren't going to miss anything. We're going nonstop.
Caution here at Darlington for the 96 of Jeffrey Earnhardt, and the drivers will take this opportunity rather to come back to pit road, including the 2 of Brad Keselowski. That last run, he said he was a little bit loose getting into the corners and off the corners, tight through the middle, but he said the 42 is beating me on corner entry. They're going to give him 4 fresh Goodyear tires to see if that helps him out. Marty?
The conversation between Chad Johnston and Kyle Larson, very simple. He said, how's the car? He said, I'm pretty good this run. No changes for the 42 at all. Meanwhile, Joey Logano said, if it makes you feel any better, to his crew chief Todd Gordon, I was 8 up on the track bar last run. I'm 1 up. That means the car was extremely tight. It is still too tight for Joey Logano, but not as bad. And that is a drag race off pit road between Brad Keselowski and Joey Logano. In fact, 3 of them. Logano joins it. Keselowski wins the race off pit road.
Well, that was tight. 3 wide. Oh, Joey Logano having to get out of his box.
Brad came out, they were side by side down pit road with Larson in the lead. If Brad did not go over the speed limit, that was incredible by not only his pit crew, but Brad to maximize pit road speed.
Now, guys, though, Larson doesn't control the restart. Nope. 22 to go. He doesn't control the restart. We've seen how hard it is to start on the outside of the front row. Most of those guys end up 3rd on the backstretch.
And Larson just got to be like thinking, man, how in the heck? Been dominating all night long.
That was crazy off pit road. I mean, those 3 guys, they run into each other. Reason for this caution, we're following along on nonstop, but
Jeffrey Earnhardt down there. Loose.
Some kind of a problem, I'd say, for sure.
Wow. Spun back up into traffic.
Don't go that way.
Very close. Truex comes through here. He's knocked that right rear quarter panel off. You know how hard his cars are to drive without that quarter panel on there. And you see the reaction on the pit box of the 42 car. That caution comes out. They had a comfortable lead. 25 laps to go, and now they don't have the lead anymore.
But guys, it's been all the way back to lap 134.
The great thing about it, though, is this car's so dang good.
Yeah, but think about this. On lap 134, that's the last restart he didn't control. The 78 beat him. It took him 30 laps to get back by the 78.
All right. The other thing is the bottom line, many times the guy in 3rd has gone to 2nd. And if that happened here, that could put Larson back to 3rd, and he'd have to work himself back to the lead. But pit road to me was fascinating. How in the world they came off pit road with Joey Logano blending up in there with them and no contact. Look at Joey Logano. He's got to swerve to miss Denny Hamlin, and what a great job by all 3 of those guys not to make contact. And look how close.
Think about this. These pit crews have been out here for hours in the heat, done so many pit stops. The two team right here, they're pumped up, and they should be. Yep. I mean, that's what they're here, right? They're the kicker. Game's on the line. You got to put it through the uprights. These guys, this may not be the last pit stop, but they have given their driver the lead.
You got to give those guys credit, but also Brad Keselowski for maximizing his pit road speed down pit road. Incredible job by him to take advantage of every single miles per hour he can.
And remember, Kelly said that this was something new they were trying tonight, a different choreographic of how they go around the race car and stuff. So clearly that worked for them.
Well, guys, still 20 laps to go. There's already been so much that has happened in this race at Darlington. And we're going to have time after the race. An hour-and-a-half post-race show with Krista, Kyle, and DJ. They'll be down in Victory Lane. It's hashtag Victory Lap. We can break down all of the excitement. There they are. They're prepping. I mean, these guys have been busy. They were on the pit box. They were in the booth with you. Now they're in Victory Lane. Parker.
Guys, something crazy here for Kurt Busch, who was running 10th when that caution came out. He's been overheating, so he came down pit road. They cooled the engine down, and they actually cut the grill out. The actual grill piece that's in the front, they cut that out, opened it up entirely. If you don't think the 7500 is tough, you look at that 41 car, it's showing some scars.
That's not unusual with this racetrack to fill up the radiator. There's so much debris on this racetrack, it actually fills the radiator up where it cannot get air through it.
And look at this front row, guys. Brad Keselowski, Kyle Larson, two drivers that have won in their careers, but neither have won this year. Is this going to be the chance? Are they going to be propelled into the playoffs with a win in the Southern 500?
Penske teammates on the bottom. Can they help each other? Logano didn't get a great start, but Keselowski clears Larson.
Looks like Larson's going to be able to maintain second place on turn 2. Still side by side with Logano down the back.
That's what Keselowski needs. He needs these two to battle.
Larson into second. Off the roof, Kevin Harvick.
See if Harvick runs that low line in the middle of 3 and 4, trying to get by Logano. Logano says, nope, not gonna let you. He runs the low line.
These guys, this is as fast as they've been running all day long. Late in this race, new tires.
And this is something Larson hasn't been in this position of. He's been out front, clean air. Now he's got Keselowski in front of you. You talked about his car being tight, taking off. Well, behind Keselowski, he's going to be that much tighter.
Coming to 17 to go. I just got a feeling something else is going to bring a caution out. Intensity is ramped up, not only up here in the front, but in the back here. A lot of guys battling back in this field. Anything can happen still.
Keselowski was a 10th and a half faster than Kyle Larson that lap.
I'd say it's clean air, but he's got such a big lead on Larson. Larson's in clean air.
Joe Logano's running Larson back down. He's caught him.
Larson struggled with his car on short run, talking about his car being tight. Wonder if they've made the right adjustments to try to stay ahead of the racetrack.
This is the time we've seen Kyle Larson sometimes be trying to push a little bit too hard. Logano making a run on him getting into 3.
Not going to be an easy position to take. You see it right there. Logano committed.
He got him.
He did.
Now,
I didn't think that was going to work.
Larson has got to be so frustrated. He's dominated this race, and now his car is not there for him.
Obviously driving completely different here. Just in this little bit of dirty air he's getting from the leader in second place. Really affected his race car.
The guys who just came on the radio, Kyle Larson, and said, I'm pretty loose right here, guys.
Loose. Been struggling with a tight car on the short run.
As we focused on Larson, you see that 2 car go out of sight. A 1.3 second lead for Brad Keselowski over his teammate Joey Logano.
Logano driving it all he's worth right now. You saw him off of turn 4, trying to get everything he can.
Guys, 1.3 seconds. That's a big lead at most racetracks, but at Darlington, that's one mistake. You touch the wall at either end, you can easily give up a second.
See, Kyle Larson, he's just struggling bad. Harvick working on him now, trying to take 3rd away from him. Harvick's underneath him. Larson's frustrated. We'll see how he handles this.
He fights here. Both drivers stay out of each other and out of the wall. A lot of patience there by both guys. Well, you knew Larson sent it on in there. wasn't going to give that position up to Kevin Harvick. Harvick wisely let him have it, trying to fight back to that inside.
He's going to get another run, going to turn left, going to push him actually.
Yeah.
Push him down the front straightaway.
Maybe a little.
Trying to drive underneath him right here. He knows he's loose. Trying to roll the middle, get beside him. Great shot right here. See, he's on the bottom. You hear that throttle. He can't stay in the throttle on corner exit because Larson has the line he wants. Harvick can't just let the car slide up. If he does, he's going to get into the side of Larson. See him roll the center of the corner really quickly. Larson's going to pull him down the straight. See if Harvick tries that again.
Look at Larson's car, man, hung out. He is fighting some looseness. Big y'all.
Kevin sees that too. Kevin can tell his car is loose, but try to use it against him. Different approach that time from Harvick. Harvick waited on the throttle and then tried to go, instead of going to the throttle sooner, he waited on it and then tried to get more throttle.
But you see right there a lap car come into play as Brad Keselowski went by the line that time. It's 10 to go, 1.3 seconds over Joey Logano, but Brad Keselowski has started to catch a little bit of lap traffic.
Yeah, they're passing the same cars these guys are. Could cost Keselowski some of his lead. If Logano can navigate that lap traffic, time those passes right, a little bit faster that lap, but not enough to make a difference. Is coming to 8 to go next time by. Right, here's the race right now for third.
And it is a battle.
Looks like Larson's car maybe getting a little more comfortable.
You'll see that sometimes. Car will take off really loose and it'll get better as the run goes on. And you see Larson's car is still moving around, but not as much as it was earlier.
That time by again, Joey Logano just a little bit faster, half a tenth, still 1.3 seconds back. Coming to 7 to go.
Listen to Harvick work that throttle.
Roger Penske and Team Penske have not won at Darlington since 1975. They're currently running 1-2. Look at this, Bobby Allison. He swept both races in 1975. And 103 wins since the last win at Darlington. 22 different tracks, 6 different drivers. Brad Keselowski, he had never won at Darlington until yesterday's Xfinity race. Twice in his career, he has swept a weekend, trying to make it 3 times by winning both races this weekend.
And longtime Penske driver Rusty Wallace at this throwback is an honor to. He's here tonight working with MRN, calling the race. You know he feels good about seeing that car drive around the racetrack.
That last time by, Logano encountered a little lap traffic, lost about a half a tenth. The lead now 1.1 seconds.
Man, I bet Rusty is smiling. He was not able to take this scheme to victory lane. Can Brad Keselowski do it today here at Darlington? Rusty won a lot, just not here at Darlington with that scheme. 5 to go.
Lucky for Brad, the lap traffic in front of him is pretty spread out.
It is, but the lady in black is never quiet. She's always right there. One simple mistake.
I just find it really interesting that this week, you know, Paul Wolf, his crew chief, was so vocal about, look, we know the situation we're in. We're not as fast as we need to be, but we do everything right. We still can win these races. And, you know, to talk about that, openly talk about that this week and then put themselves in position and they can execute that, I just think that builds this team a ton of confidence.
Keselowski passing on a lap car was 1/10 slower than Logano. Logano's going to get by that lap car a little easier.
Yeah, now this lap cars are forcing Brad to run at the bottom of 3 and 4. He was
going to cost him even more time here.
Yeah.
But Logano has to get by those same cars. How will that affect his laps?
3 to go in the Southern 500.
1 second lead, pretty comfortable. There you see in front of Brad, no lap traffic.
Yeah, they're making Joey get off his preferred line, running the bottom of 1 and 2. Brad likes to see that. He's going to look up in the mirror on the backstretch and see he's got about 20, 25 car lengths over his teammate.
That kid just moved out of the way. Joey Logano trying not to be a factor. This is Keselowski's race to lose. Just hoping, he's hoping right now no one else makes a mistake. Causing the plate race caution.
Well, Jeff, we talked momentum. Who was going to strike? Who was going to get momentum to head into the playoffs? We mentioned Jimmy Johnson. Maybe it was going to be Kyle Larson. He dominated the day. Now it looks like it could be Brad Keselowski. Could he get his first win of 2018, carry that momentum into the playoffs?
Never won at Darlington until yesterday. Won the Xfinity race. Could he get his first Southern 500 win tonight?
Can he sweep the weekend? Here he comes. 1 lap to go, presented by Credit One Bank.
You may as well sweep the weekend. If you're going to do it, just take both of them.
That's right. Last year, swept by Denny Hamlin. This year, could be swept by Brad Keselowski.
24 career wins. Looking for career win 25. A Cup champion. But so far, the trophy case is empty when it comes to a crown jewel race. Brad Keselowski, with help of his pit crew, wins the race off pit road and will win the 69th Southern 500.
Yeah! Cool, Southern 500 champion. Oh, yeah! Awesome! Good job, pit crew. That last stop was awesome. Thank you so much for that. Really, really nice, man. Really nice.
It's been some time for this team. 29 starts between wins. These guys right here, you see the excitement. They know. You saw the excitement after the pit stop. That's that moment. You're on the sidelines all day long. It's your chance to affect the outcome. They do it. They deliver a race-winning pit stop. And then Brad Keselowski, you see 2 teammates right here.
Crew, they're just like special teams in other sport, in football, where they still sit on that sideline, and at that big moment they got to step up. And this is Brad Keselowski's signature move, American flag in the left side door.
The 3rd time in Brad Keselowski's career he has swept the weekend. The American flag in the smoke. This moment is presented by Sunoco, fueling victories all season long.
Darlington, that's cool. You're darn right, man. Thank you.
He reaches. He has the American flag. Now he wants that checkered flag. Just like he did yesterday, he's going to salute the fans, and so many fans. A packed house here at Labor Day weekend. This revival of the Southern 500 coming back to Labor Day weekend years ago, it's been supported by the throwback weekend. He brings that famous Miller Genuine Draft paint scheme to Victory Lane.
The energy is back for the Southern 500. It's been back for the last 4 or 5 years, and it's awesome to see the fans pack this place. This is one of the biggest races of the year. To win the Southern 500 can be the highlight of a driver's career. This is a huge event.
I was thinking this could be Brad's biggest career win.
And could it have come at a better time? I mean, winless this year, looking for something, and he went out there. I know he had help from his pit crew, but in the end, there's a lot of laps. It wasn't 2 or 3 laps. It was multiple laps. He executed perfectly.
And this team needs some positive energy. They just have needed it. Watch out.
Happy man. Whoa, buddy. Watch out.
see the excitement.
Guys, the crowd was going wild down here, watching as Brad Keselowski climbs atop that MGD board once again. Brad going with the sweep. Woo. Labor Day weekend.
Am I dreaming, Rutledge?
You're not dreaming, Brad. Not only did you win last night, but you've won tonight on a track that you have never won. Talk about a throwback. Penske hasn't won here since '75, and you brought the victory back home, brother. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, Rutledge. You know, I got to give a lot of credit to my pit crew. We were running second. That last stop, they nailed it. He got us out in the lead. I thought Kyle was really good, Kyle Larson, and he was flat out flying, but I know how that goes. You know, 2015, we led a bunch of laps and lost it on the last pit stop. Today, my team won it on the last pit stop. And it was just me just hitting all the marks and not screwing it up, Rutledge. But how cool is this? In Rusty Wallace's throwback car, Southern 500, throwback weekend.
How about these packed stands? Again, one of the biggest races we have all year.
It's just sweet. This is, you know, the Southern 500 has always been a major deal, and you know, I give credit to the whole team that runs the track here at Darlington. They made it even bigger yet. This is a must-see weekend, and we won it. Yes, we won it, Rutledge.
Ladies and gentlemen, make some noise for your winner, Brad Keselowski.